All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We got two very special guests with us here today. We've got Agent. Say hello,
Hello.
Agent.
Hello,
And,
Agent.
and we got Dream here. Say hi, Dream.
What up, y'all?
And we're going to be talking a full spoiler discussion for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and probably other Zelda games as well. Yeah, we've got a triple collaboration here going for you, Mr. Skits. What's going on, Grim and Rife? Josh is here too. Josh and Space grabbing second at the same time. I don't know how that happens.
Wow.
2 days ago, let's go.
Good thing I finished 2 days ago. Nice, Rife. So I'm glad that you can join us in this discussion as well. I'm just going to be playing around in the world of Tears of the Kingdom as we have a few things to discuss. Over on the TGC server, we've been keeping a lot of the discussion for Tears of the Kingdom under wraps. It's on its own spoiler zone channel. That's what we call it, to kind of keep the spoilers contained. A lot of us were very intent to kind of keep our own experiences with Tears of the Kingdom kind of our own before we started sharing with each other. But I thought it would be nice for us to have a discussion where we just let all the spoilers out. That's right, Conniptions. I'm sorry, because I know that I know that you've been avoiding spoilers a lot. So Conniptions,
Dude, Conniption's been ducking.
probably wants to duck this conversation, as he does, which is fair. Like that's what we were doing when we were trying to play the game.
I was getting pissed.
Oh yeah, we'll get into this, but there was a lot of stuff that probably would have been funny for me to see, but I was so afraid of seeing like plot spoilers of this game that I just locked everything down. I was like, I don't want to see anything before I'm supposed to see it. But now that we've had some time to explore the game, the majority of us on this discussion have also reached credits, and so we'll be getting into it, discussing a few things, and then as we're talking about different things, if you have different opinions you'd like us to go over, then feel free to contribute. Well, we also want to make sure that you have a chance to give us your 2 cents as well. And so we'll be following a format of I'll say that I shamelessly ripped this discussion format off of a video games podcast that I like a lot. It's called Cane and Rinse. It's one of my big broadcasting influences, I guess. And so we'll be going over different topics of the game. Again, all spoilers are allowed. No, we're not going to be holding back. So if you don't want to hear about something from Tears of the Kingdom, now is a good time to click out and you can revisit this a little bit later. Hey, Liz, take care. Oh, you're welcome for the cooking podcast. And so I wanted to give our guests a little bit of time to talk about their histories with the Legend of Zelda franchise. So we'll start with Dream. Where did you get in with Zelda? Where did you get in with 3D Zelda? Before Tears of the Kingdom, or I know that Tears of the Kingdom wasn't your first Zelda game. So how was it that you kind of came into the Zelda franchise?
Well, it started obviously with the Game Boy. So I played the Link's Awakening, the original one, not the DX. But since then, it just kind of went uphill from there. Obviously played A Link to the Past. Like that's like the top 2 favorite games, just because of playing them as a kid. So and then like I haven't played some of the titles, like the Wii ones. What is it?
Skyward
Princess
Sword?
and Skyward Sword.
Okay.
But aside from that, I think I played all of them, and it's crazy. Like, I don't know. I think about it and it's just like, damn, like this is my Mario, as opposed to like some people like Mario more than Zelda. So.
Okay. Yeah. And then you obviously played Breath of the Wild. Also, so there was kind of a gap during maybe the Wii or GameCube era.
Yeah.
But then you kind of came back to it with the Switch.
Yeah, like I got the Switch because of the Zelda game, because it looked like very like just so crazy. And then it had been a while, so I'm just like, okay. So I would have gotten it regardless, but just the Zelda like inclusion just pushed me over the edge for it.
Okay. How about you, Agent? Where did your Zelda exposure begin?
I don't know. I'm getting nervous. Let's see.
Nervous? We're just friends. What's nothing to be nervous about?
I'm overthinking it. I'm like, where would it begin?
where did I play Zelda?
Yeah.
Zelda? Where'd she go?
Honestly, yeah. I was just like, wait, Zelda's not even in the game anymore. It's Link. I would say so. Very funny story. Like me and Dream, we had a very close friend. We called him Homer. Um, and he had a bunch of like he was like kind of he had a lot more stuff than I did. You know, my household didn't have like a lot of gadgets back then, so he had the N64 and stuff like that. And I was just like, what game are you playing? And he's like, oh, I'm playing Legend of Zelda. And I was like, dude, I never played those games. And the game he popped out was a golden cartridge for the N64.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, ooh, golden cartridge. Like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's Majora's Mask. My mom just got it for me. And I was like, dude, that looks sick. So we checked it out. He was playing it, and I was like, dude, this game looks amazing. He's like, yeah, there's actually a part 1 to it. It's called Ocarina of Time. He's like, you could borrow it if you want to. And I was just like, all right, cool, sweet. So then I played Ocarina of Time, and I was just blown away. I was like, dude, what is this game like? I never experienced a story like that. For me, it felt like so unreal compared to everything else that I've ever played, because I mean, I really just grew up like I grew up in Nintendo games, but it was like Donkey Kong, Super Mario, and stuff like that. Didn't really have like a story or a plot, you know. I just kind of having a lot of fun. But yeah, Ocarina of Time was the first game I played, and ever since then, like I started diving into like every single Zelda I could get. Besides the first few ones, I don't dig the 2D ones too much. Besides the Game Boy versions.
So you came in kind of around the Ocarina of Time N64 era, and then it was kind of like you went both ways from there.
Yeah, pretty much split from there. But ever since now whenever they release a Zelda game, I want to get it. Like I got the Wii U for that reason. I got the GameCube for that reason. Like, you know, every single time like I saw a Zelda game, I'm like, I gotta play it. Like I got hooked. I got hooked on it. So yeah, I played all of them from Majora's Mask up, and all of them from Ocarina of or Oracle Seasons, or Seasons in Oracle, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. The Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages.
Yeah, those games are honestly amazing though. Capcom, shout out to them, because they did an amazing job for those 2 Zelda games.
Yeah, and those ones now available on the Game Boy app on the Switch as well. If you didn't get a chance to get them the first time. Yeah, I actually came into Zelda like kind of late. So I've always been a Nintendo person, but I wasn't always a Zelda person. So like my earliest exposure to Zelda was Link's Awakening, which for the longest time was my favorite Zelda game by far. But like if you were to ask me pre Breath of the Wild, what's your favorite Zelda game? It would have been Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. My first one was also the pre DX version, and then I don't think I really like I've played Ocarina of Time. But Legend of Zelda has always been one of those ones where it's like, oh, it's nice that it's there, but it's never really been my thing. Like I played Ocarina of Time and I liked it, but it wasn't like I was too preoccupied with like Mario 64. So I was like, no, this is fine. But when I saw that trailer for Breath of the Wild, I was like, I need to have this immediately. Like who do I pay to get this now? Like who do I like? What do I need to do to have this immediately? And then when the trailer dropped and it that it was going to be a launch game, I was like, oh my god! Like I have to have this. I have to have this now. Like inject this directly into my vein. And since then, like that really got me. And it was the same with Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, when they did that trailer, that was like, we need more time to make Tears of the, or at the time they called it the sequel to Breath of the Wild. I was like, yeah. Whatever, just like give it to me when it's ready. Like get it out of the oven, give it to me already. So that's been my experience. I've gone back and I've played but have not finished Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. Like I dip into the Zelda titles. I tried playing Zelda 1 on the NES, and my god, it is so hard.
Those are difficult.
that I did not finish it. But it's always been on the periphery. But since Breath of the Wild and since Tears of the Kingdom, I've definitely learned to appreciate it so much more, and it's been something that I've really liked. And so, yeah, that's kind of the history with Zelda there. Rife says Oracles are my favorites, mainly from growing up with them. Yeah, the password system in those games is really novel. There's a story about how they wanted to do a third game, but trying to figure out how the passwords would work between the three of them would be too difficult to figure out. So they ended up being limited to 2 games, but it certainly was like really innovative at the time, and to have a sequel developed by a pseudo third party by Capcom is also kind of notable for Nintendo.
Right, and in color. I was just so impressed.
and in color, and taking advantage of like all of that had to offer too. And the old Rife says, started with Ocarina of Time, had the old version with the Islamic chant in the Fire Temple. Oh yeah, that's also super interesting how they had to change the sounds because the background music resembled or either was or resembled an Islamic chant, and they're like, nope, can't have that anymore. And so they had to they had to change the design of a shield and then also change some of the background music so it wouldn't have that anymore.
Oh, so are there like pre-patched Zeldas that don't have that?
If you find a N64 cartridge that's old enough, since there weren't patches back then.
Yeah, right. They just make a new cartridge.
Yeah. Which is also kind of wild to think about, right? Like, there was no such thing as patch notes. It was just like, well, it's shipped. We can't do anything about it.
Well, they have it now.
Yeah, everybody's got it. We'll do better next time.
Yeah.
So, this discussion is going to assume that you already have experienced Breath of the Wild, so we're not going to recap that. But I want to talk about a few kind of key parts of the plot of this game. So, everyone's super excited. The game kicks off. You go through that kind of spooky prologue where Link and Zelda are in the basement, and then you see the creepy cutscene with Ganon's mangled body. And then all of a sudden you wake up in like this sky area. And so, Agent, what were your like first impressions when you were walking around this first sky island? But do you remember those feelings? Do you remember those impressions? Like, what did you think about this first sky area?
Dude, I was so immersed in the game. I forgot where I was. Like, I'm just playing the game and like enjoying the crap out of it. And I think I was like 4 hours in doing nothing. I probably achieved 0. Like, I had nothing. I didn't accomplish anything, but I was just running around, throwing sticks, figuring out what to do, jumping to the water, like looking at the sun, and I'm just like basking in every single part of the game. I forgot that I was just in like a small area. I was amazed. I was stunned, honestly. Like, there was so much to do and so much creativity you could kind of like mess around with, like mix and match items and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It was just amazing, honestly. Speechless.
Yeah. And what about you, Dream? You were jumping out here.
So after like the intro, like when Link wakes up, for me, like I felt like sadness and like no hope.
Oh.
Because I say that because like not only like is Zelda like gone and shit, but like the Master Sword is like broken. And obviously, since what, like the Super Nintendo one, like the Master Sword is the sword. So when you see like, oh shit, the Master Sword's broken, you're like, damn, how the hell did we come back from this, And then the music itself is like very like melancholy. Like when you're up there, even to now, like when you pass, it's still like very like sad. So, like I guess just the way they did it really like caught me. But yeah, just kind of exploring, like what Agent said, like doing nothing sometimes. Like I think I just probably spent like 3 hours as well, like not doing anything, just kind of seeing what I could do, what I couldn't do, and then just getting back into the groove of like the new Zelda type of game. So
yeah, I remember excuse me, I remember going through this, and especially in that first area where it's like back to basics. Like Link has these an old t-shirt and old pants, right? And then all he has is the stump of the Master Sword, and he's back to picking up branches and stuff like that. And I was immediately impressed with how they were able to make that still feel fresh. Because I right before I played Tears of the Kingdom, I was playing Breath of the Wild on stream. And I remember when I was on the plateau, I was like, well, now that I know all the tricks, like all this is easy, right? Like you can go through the plateau in Breath of the Wild so quickly after you know like how all the powers work, how do I do this and that. But I was really impressed that they were able to get that feeling again of just like, hey, you're in a new place, you don't know what's going on, you're really weak, so have fun trying to fight off these robot things with these sticks. Like I was impressed that they were able to do that trick a second time. And I remember thinking that, oh, like how are they going to pull that off? Right. Like how are they going to make me, I already know how to play Breath of the Wild, and this looks really similar. So how is this gonna be any different? But it was so different from the beginning. And that was something that really impressed me. Do you feel like you had any impressions about that? Like, oh, this is the starting area. Like, is this going to be the same? Is it going to be different? Do you feel like it taught you a different thing? For either of you?
Well, for me, it became like obviously it's like a new thing, but like I picked it up really quickly just because you know how Raru sends you to do the little missions. So it's like okay, and then it just kind of clicked, and then from there it just kind of like obviously in these games like in the beginning it's always like just difficult because you die so quickly. Because you only have 3 hearts, and then these monsters hit you, and like you're dead in 2 shots. But after that, it's just like okay, like getting back in the groove, and it wasn't too bad for me. But it was just like you said, like it's like, damn, like it feels like I'm playing this like for the first time.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I guess like the main things I was thinking about was not. I guess I wouldn't say lore because I don't really know like lore about Zelda itself, but just because I played all the games, I felt like a lot of the components in that trailer kind of made me think of different segments of Zelda. So as soon as I got outside of the island, I was just like, who am I gonna face? Like, am I gonna see like old faces? Am I gonna see new faces? Are these people like are they connected to Wind Waker? Are they connected to Skyward Sword? Are they connected to this? Are they, like, what am I gonna see? What should I expect? So for me, I was kind of like, it was free. It felt like really like liberating, but also felt kind of terrifying. Because I'm like, this is Breath of the Wild, but I feel like they're changing a lot. Like a lot has you know like we're dealing with like islands in the sky. So for me, it made me think of Skyward Sword. I'm like, are we back in Skyward Sword? Like, is something gonna happen? Like something catastrophic right after this? Am I supposed to like reach a certain level or a certain point in the story, and all of a sudden like all the islands are gonna come crashing down? So for me, my head, my mind was just going everywhere. I was like, what's gonna happen? I wasn't really thinking about like the components of Breath of the Wild. I just kind of like used that as a foundation and didn't really like think twice about it. You know, I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
these are the Breath of the Wild mechanics, but I'm really just thinking about the story, what's gonna happen next, and like which kind of characters am I gonna interact with, and like what are they gonna do with them. Especially like those little Zonai guys, the little robots. They remind me a lot of the Wind Waker little robots that you mess with. The ones that you like go into their body and you kind of jump around. It has the same kind of architecture as that. So for me, I'm like, wait, are we back in the Wind Waker temple with that big dragon? But no, I mean it's very different. I still haven't beat the game, so I don't know exactly what's going on or what you know what does occur and what doesn't.
Maybe I'll have to do that sequence while we're talking about it then. I think that may change some of your impressions.
But yeah, my mind was exploding, honestly. I was just like thinking of everything at once, and I'm like, what am I doing? Nothing, but I loved it.
Did you experience it? So I'm the only thing that I think I didn't like about this beginning area was I did the same mistake that I did the first time when I was playing Breath of the Wild is I turned the HUD onto the pro mode that takes away most of the stuff because I was like, I just want to see, you know, the game. I don't need to see like the hearts or the shortcuts or whatever, or like how much sound Link is making. I just want to see the world. And when you turn that off, it turns off some of the tips for the different abilities. And there's a section, I don't know if I'm in the right one, but there's a section on the island where you have to attach a hook to one of the mine carts so you can go up a rail.
Oh yeah,
And I didn't know that you could rotate things while you're holding them.
Oh.
I thought you just had to like position yourself and pivot and try to get it to work. And so that puzzle took me a god awful amount of time. Like I didn't know that you could pivot rotate an item like this.
Yeah,
And
that would
so
be
like
so annoying.
So like trying to get the hook just at the right angle so that it could also attach to the minecart and then also like attach the fan at just the right angle so it would go up the rail. I was like, this is impossible. Like what? How on earth do people do this? And then later on, I turned all that stuff back on. I was like, well, maybe I'm missing something. And I sure was missing something, and that made it a lot easier. But I wanted to use that to segue into the new abilities. So this game has the Ultra Hand, which replaces Magnesis. So now you can grab anything, whether it's metal or not. There's Fuse that lets you connect the weapons with monster parts to kind of increase their durability. There's Auto Build. There's Ascend that lets you go through ceilings to pop up into different places. And then there's Recall, the time rewinding ability. What were your impressions of the abilities, and What were some of your favorite uses of those abilities?
The Ultra Hand I definitely like. Sorry, Dream. The Ultra Hand was really cool just because you could grab anything. I felt like the magnetic one was kind of like limiting in another Breath of the Wild, and oftentimes I found myself trying to pick up items that like I couldn't pick up. So like now having the ability to pick up anything in the world felt really cool. As to the ascend ability, I feel like it saves so much time when it comes to climbing, because there's sometimes you could find like a little divot within the mountain.
Oh yeah, you're looking
And
for
then
that.
you
spot.
Yeah,
you're
just look
walking
for
around
that-
just like this, and you're like, where is
Yeah.
it? Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, you're walking with the screen up. You're just like, "Where's the green, baby? Where's the green?" And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you find it, and you go back to it, and bam! All of a sudden, like you go up like 20 stories.
Yeah, mashing A, like waiting
yeah.
for it to turn green.
Yeah, so that was awesome. Cause, dude, Breath of the Wild, I loved it, but the rain, oh my god, shoot
Yeah.
me! Like, just kill me now. Like, I can't even start a campfire. I can't even climb up the mountain. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, I'm really just supposed to pause. And like I got so upset at those points. So now that I don't have to like go through that, I was really happy. I mean,
Yeah. No, go
so
ahead.
that was good. And then the fusibility, obviously, like it's super cool. Like you can mix and match a bunch of weapons. You could combine it with whatever items are around, like herbs, mushrooms, and so forth. I think that's really creative, and I feel like I'm very limited in my creativity there because I'm not really doing anything with it. Like I'm not really mixing and matching. I'm not really having a lot of fun with it. Right now, I'm just so worried about like getting like the best weapons to like combine them to get the best numbers or whatever like that. But
Okay.
I'm not too worried about making really fun and creative kind of gadgets, which I think it's my problem. Then recall, of course, recall is really convenient just because sometimes you drop items and you can pick them up, and that was like the worst thing about like Ultra Hand when you didn't have recall, because if you pick something up and you accidentally let it go, you press another button and it drops. You're just like, no, my creation.
Like there it goes. Like
Yeah.
I hope you didn't want to see that again.
Yeah, there goes my hero.
Yeah.
And I can just bring it back up. So I was like, oh yes, so convenient. So they're nifty. I feel like they weren't as great as I thought. Like I feel like there was a little bit more space for a little bit more like fundamental creativity without like having to do a bunch of different things. But they're definitely cool.
How about for you, Dream?
So the biggest difference when it comes to like Breath of the Wild and then this game is obviously the fuse mechanic. Because even now, like when I play it, I still want to go head on and just like use the Master Sword on every enemy that I see. But it's just like it's gonna lose its durability. And then so with fuse, like it really just changes the way you play this game, or more so you don't play this game, because when you create something like your own robot, right, the robot goes out and destroys like all the moblins and stuff. So it's just like a different way to approach without having to actually approach. You know what I mean? Because I've seen all those crazy like Twitter videos of like these people that make these giga robots. I'm just like,
Bro,
what the hell are they on? I need
Yeah,
that. And here I
what
am
is
with
it
just
called?
like a simple one-headed robot that like has like little wheels. I'm like, okay, we're playing on a different game here.
yeah.
But
I mean,
that's the
if you're making a
capabilities.
one-headed robot, you're already doing more than me.
But yeah, like I mean, just like also like Ascend, like it's just such a nice, ability to just go up certain places. And I mean, because you think about like the previous game, like oh, I want the the Rivali scale to go up, but it's just like I could just use Ascend and not have to waste the sage's abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning, I actually found it kind of intimidating using fuse to bolster the weapons. I didn't know that it was going to be as key of a mechanic as it turns out to be. Like if you aren't fusing weapons to monster parts or to the machine devices, things like that, like your weapons don't last at all. But I think that well, for me anyway, you notice less the durability of a weapon after you fuse something, because fusing something to it adds to its durability too.
Yeah.
And that made searching for weapons a much less of a worry than it was. I think in like early to mid Breath of the Wild, before you start having more weapons than you could possibly do with. This one, I like that anything can be turned useful as long as you've got something to stick to it. Like even if it's a piece of food, like you can stick something to it and you are going to get an attack boost and you are going to get, something out of it. Ooh.
Also, sorry.
Go ahead.
The arrow, the ability to fuse to arrows.
Oh my god.
Huge.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, right. Insane. Like fusing to arrows, godly. That is one thing I'm super happy about. Like, that is a godsend. It is so fun, and it's so thrilling to just use arrows and attach whatever you want to it and see what happens.
It opens up the combat in a way that I didn't appreciate at first because I found it so I was too clumsy to use it at first. I was like, you have to hold the arrow out and then also press the button
D-pad
and then
or
also
something.
slide over to which thing you want to attach it. Like this took me a long time to figure out like, okay, what's the flow to attach whatever to an arrow. But after you kind of get the hang of it, it really is just, so useful to be able to attach an extra thing onto an arrow. And also cheese certain bosses, like if you have eyes to attach to them for the homing shots, or like the elemental abilities.
The homing arrows.
Yeah, or I think one thing that I saw on a Twitter video from Nintendo is if you attach a gem to it, it gives that elemental power to the arrow too, but stronger than like the fruit would.
What? That's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, but gems are so rare that like using it as a bomb isn't necessarily the best. In my opinion, like not really the best use of it. So I only did that when I'm like, I need lots and lots of extra power to take this down. Otherwise, using the fruit is usually is probably okay.
Yeah. And I think that made me like really value items a lot more because in Breath of the Wild, there came a point where I was just like, nothing in this world matters. I have everything I need. I know where to go. All these resources don't do anything for me. But in Breath of the Wild, I'm like, please, let me find something. I need some bombs. Like, let me find a cave somewhere. I'm kind of like scratching and starving for like materials, which I like because it makes it feel like the world is providing for you rather than like it's just a video game where like you have everything you need at one point.
It also makes the world feel a little bit more desperate too, because I remember in the beginning of the game, you really don't have a lot of resources. Like there's not a good way to make money. There's not a really good way to farm for materials. And so like everything suddenly becomes that much more important to be able to get something to fuse for your weapons, but also like, do you have enough arrows? Do you have enough this? Do you have enough that? Like all of that becomes so much more important. And so I actually liked that it felt a little bit more desperate just in terms of the storytelling, but also like, yeah, give me anything. Like, please let me have enough to fight whatever mob that I come across next.
Seriously, I love that part. I do enjoy the fact that they made gems actually feel rare.
Like I spent so much time in the deaths trying to get some bombs because like they were so helpful in the beginning.
Oh yeah, like just being able to not having infinite bombs was a real issue. But like I got so used to solving problems in Breath of the Wild, just like, I've got bombs, so I'm always going to be able to deal decent damage to somebody, right? But no such thing here. So now you really have to be a bit more creative in how you take on mobs. And as soon as you land, like you see regular enemies, which is fine, but then you also see you start seeing the giant moblins. I'm like, there are a lot more monsters in this than I thought that there were going to be. Like they really upped the enemy count.
Yeah, the monster diversity definitely increased as well. I was like, what? They're flying things?
And they're everywhere. Like they're a huge nuisance too.
Oh shit.
Let's see. And anything else you want to talk about with the abilities or weapon durability or finding inventory items before we move on?
Oh yeah, so there's definitely some cool like hacks I've like ended up watching on YouTube. Like inevitably there's gonna be always videos that are gonna trickle in, Even as hard as you try, you're always gonna get something. So one of the videos that I saw was obviously the hover bike. And I was just like, oh, this hover bike, that's such a good idea. But I wanted it to be my idea. I was so salty that I didn't think of it. I was just like, why? Why do you have to teach me this? Why couldn't I just figure it out on my own? And like it's like a prideful thing, and I'm just like, I'm so dumb and arrogant. I should just do it. And I finally did it, and I was just like, yes, this is 100 times better.
I didn't make one until after I reached credits, and then I was like, whatever. Like now that I've reached credits, everything is on
the credits.
Yeah, I waited until I got to the credits to do
I couldn't wait
to do the 2 fans to do this.
Yeah,
two fans and the steering stick. I waited. I was like, I was like, no. I want to do it. I want to do it my way before. I was like Agent. I was like, I want to do it my way, and I don't want to be like copying this thing just because it's efficient. Like let me try to do it dev intended. Like I'm so like insistent on like let me have the dev intended experience. I'm sure the devs also thought of this, but I don't know if they thought about like, well, it's gonna be on YouTube within a day, so so put it on there. So yeah, I waited. If I ever needed something like that, I usually did. I think I still have it saved. I would do like a wing and then fans like this.
Yeah,
that's what I would do too. That's my basic go-to.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like what people in the chat have made, like something that they're holding on to that they don't want to share yet. But
I had heard that there was like a build that recharges your battery. I don't know how that works, but like, yeah, it's just like I'll try to find it and I'll post it. But like, yeah, like some people are like very, very, very technical with what they build. So if I find it, I'll share it.
Yeah. I think my favorite one that I saw was the audio from Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Kaiba sacrifices Obelisk, which is a god card for Blue Eyes White Dragon.
What? Really?
And like the person had built the 2 monsters that he sacrifices, and then like it reconfigures itself into the Blue Eyes White Dragon shape, and I was like, that's unbelievable. That's next level.
I'm telling you, some of these people.
It was so impressive. And like it even shot out like lasers out of its mouth. Yeah, he made a gadget soldier and an obelisk, and then he used auto build, and the 2 monsters reconfigure themselves into Blue Eyes White Dragon. I was like, this is amazing. Like insane, it's so cinematic. It was so cool. That was definitely one of the best like impractical, but very, very cool builds that I saw.
Like what? How long has the game been out? Man. Since like May, June, July, August, September. So like 4 months in, like stuff like this is being created.
Oh yeah, I mean, who knows? With all the speedrun stuff that eventually ended up happening for Breath of the Wild, like just imagine what people are going to be able to do with this game after a year. Like people's creativity is through the roof for sure.
Yeah, and with that being said, like one of my favorite low key easy go tos is just attaching the little wheelie cart onto my shield. And just having like a skateboard.
Yep.
So it's just so fun, so practical. Like that's exactly what I wanted off of Breath of the Wild. Like I wish I could just. I always did the shield like very stubbornly on top of rocks, hoping that it would slide, but it never did.
The best you can get in Breath of the Wild is like you pop up a little bit and then you get like a little hover distance, and then it's like get back on the ground. What are you doing?
Then you're just left walking and you hear the footsteps of sadness like. Like damn it. All right, I guess. But yeah, the skateboard, awesome little like convenient gadget.
I think did I have another one? Let me check here. I eventually abused the hover bike because I was like, there really isn't anything better than this. Although I did try to use it only when I was either in the sky or in the depths. I do think that the depths is built for having like machines to get around. Oh, this is another one that I really liked. Like even just a platform with a hot air balloon, because they do that in a lot of the shrines. I'm like, that's practical. If all you need is height, like that was really nice. And then we'll get into this, but some of the stuff that you get from the schematics in the depths, even just like the bridge. This one makes me laugh so hard. Like they give this to you.
Gia clans are very creative.
Yeah, and it's just a whole bunch of concrete slabs. I was like, I'm into this. Like this is cool. I used this to solve a fire temple puzzle because I was like, I don't know how else to do this.
Yeah, there are definitely times now that I wish I didn't know any of the tech stuff, the high tech stuff, Because like I like building bridges. I like making wonky ass like
yeah.
figures just to like
The
climb up
bridges
things.
out of the metal plates.
Yeah, plates. You just like randomly
yeah,
like
yeah.
finding your way up there. You know, the struggle was definitely enjoyable.
I think Josh did that, right? I recall him posting
Oh,
he
yeah.
solved a shrine by making like a long ass bridge out of the plates.
Oh, really?
I
It was,
believe so.
if I remember correctly, it was there's a shrine where I think you're meant to make like a boat and it's supposed to like drift across or something like that. But yeah, Josh connected like every tree trunk that you find in the thing into one long skinny line all the way to the end of the water, and I was like, damn. Because I did that for one of the earlier sections of that puzzle before I realized like, oh, I understand what this puzzle is. Okay, I get it. And then like I did it probably the dev intended way. But then I saw the screenshot of Josh's and I was like, no.
Again, but that's the beauty of like the flexibility of this game, where you
Yeah.
you could do things your way, you know.
Right?
Maybe it's not practical, but you did it your way.
Oh, okay. We're gonna talking about doing it your way. How do you all feel? We're gonna talk about some new characters in the game. One of my favorite new characters is this loser, Addison, the guy who holds up the signposts. I love this guy. I like his gumption. I like that he's so dedicated to like his cause. I like that it's introducing you to like different ways you can stick stuff together to make this stuff stand up. I really like this guy. What were your impressions of Addison, but also were there any new characters or like returning characters that you really appreciated or like, you know, fan favorites of yours for new and returning characters?
I found the like that bird who calls you partner.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like I found him very like he had a like very cool just like cool guy character. Like, let's get this done, partner. We got this. I'm just like, oh, he's chill. Like he's someone you would want in your like in life, you know, like a buddy who's there for you all the time.
I like that he said soar long for so long. Soar long.
Yeah, I like him. He's cool. The little musician guy is kind of funny for me. I thought he was super adorable.
Yeah, the fake Mario.
Yeah, the fake Mario.
Fake Mario.
I don't know why. I don't know what it is about his particular character, like what it is about him exactly that makes me think of Mario as well. But like I saw him and I was just like, what the hell, little musician Mario?
He's like short and squat. And then like he's got all the buddies, right? Like that whole quest line is super charming to me.
Yeah.
I really like that
That's
quest
the word
line.
charming. The one with the little kid who, yeah, he asks you to get some fireflies for the girl or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
I found that one like to be the best little side mission so far.
That one is
done
cute.
it yet, Agent, but that sounds pretty cool.
I feel like because of the technology, I've skipped a lot. I feel like I've actually like been everywhere, but I haven't. I've just been over everywhere. I haven't really been on it, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean that was something that I wanted to talk about too. Like when you activate Hero's Path, I definitely have not been everywhere. But like I've even kind of going over the sky areas and the depths. Like I've seen I've seen all of the. I have all of the light routes and I have almost all of the shrines. But I'm like, you can see clearly there are giant areas of this map that I have not even touched at all. And maybe that's something we can cover right now is that I remember in Breath of the Wild, if you just went from main quest line to main quest line, you would probably only see like 30 to 40% of the map. And I remember that was something that I really enjoyed of just being like, I'm going to go to this area because I haven't been here yet. And I'm just going to see what's up. Right. And just like see what's there. Maybe I find a shrine there. Maybe I find like a treasure chest. Maybe I find whatever. There's always something there to see. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But in this game, I really felt like because there were so many quest lines directing you to different places, after I was done with the main quest up like in the mountains, for example, I was like, why would I come back here? There's no reason to come back here other than if I was curious on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about like, what was your guys' strategy for like exploring new areas? Were you like me where I was just like, oh, that looks cool. And then I walk in that direction and then, 4 hours goes by or like, what was your exploration technique or strategy or was there one?
Dream?
Well, for me, I kind of was just like hyper focused and passing the game. And So obviously there was so much that I needed to do after. I think I passed the game with like, what was it, like 15 hearts? So I wasn't really
Oh, really?
prioritizing like, yeah, so I wasn't like prioritizing like hearts or like boosting up stuff. I was just like, fuck it, you know. I got a bunch of the, uh, just like a bunch of health, so I could do that at the end. But like once I passed it, I'm just like, well, I passed it. So that's kind of when I started to just prioritize a lot of like finding the shrines and just kind of seeing where, you know, just going one way. Okay, I'm gonna go to the mountains and see what I could find. See the little, if the little noise pops up for like a little for the radar. And that's when I realized, oh, because someone said it. Oh, if you look at the, you know, the lights in the bottom in the depths, it also matches up to that being a, for the most part, a you know, a shrine.
I think it was Wheeling and Dealing who said that.
I started to do that. I'm like, oh, okay. So in that sense, I started to explore more, and I did also want like to just make my hero path like tracker, like my little line, like just go all over the place. So that's kind of where I started to find more little missions, and I mean, I'm at what percent? I'm at 53%. I stopped playing for a bit, but I'm still at 53%. So it's like there's still so much more for me to look at, and I'm waiting for the DLC to come out whenever it comes out. I mean, no rush.
Oh yeah,
but
there's gonna be
still,
DLC?
oh hell yeah, there better be, man. But yeah, like if I think you get Hero's Path after you pass it, but if I just look at the deaths, it's like,
No, I think I have it.
like there's still so much for me to do, and like that's good, you know.
I think you get Hero's Path pretty early.
Yeah, I have Hero's Path right now, and I haven't
because
beat
you
it.
you get it from
Yeah,
the shorty, the old man.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
for
right.
me-
Yeah. Yeah, you get it from the scientist, right?
Yeah.
For me, that's actually the reason I haven't beaten it. Like, for me, I always have to deal with this philosophical like reasoning about like why am I playing this game, right? So in this one and Tears of the Kingdom, like I felt like I just kind of like skimmed over it, right? Even though I've have like maybe 130 hours on it, I felt like I didn't really enjoy like the true substance of the game. I felt like I was either rushing to one thing or like, you know, barreling down to like another quest line or whatever. Like not really like simmering and like sitting on those quests or like just kind of exploring the world on foot. I feel like, you know, technology kind of gives you the ability to like go a lot of places, but you don't actually go anywhere. You just kind of end up like in particular spots. And like Solomon, I think mentioned that too. And he said that, you know, he did the Hero's Path thing and he noticed that he didn't go to a lot of places. So you know, the next time I booted up Tears of the Kingdom, I pressed the Hero's Path, and that's exactly what I did. I started the game and I saw a shrine. I went to the shrine. Then I went to another shrine. Then I went to another shrine. And sorry, the Sky Tower. Sorry, it was Sky Tower, Sky Tower, Sky Tower, Sky Tower, Sky Tower. I'm like, I don't really play the game. I just discovered it all, and I feel like now I'm forcing myself to really enjoy the game to then beat it. I'm not sure if it's like whatever reasoning I have. I don't know what it is, but I just want to explore everything, and I want to feel content with the amount of stuff I've done in the game to then beat the boss and then be like, okay, like this was satisfactory.
Yeah.
But something's definitely stopping me.
I don't think that might be necessarily stopping you, because my approach to Breath of the Wild was like that. Like after I did 2 of the Divine Beasts in Breath of the Wild, I was like, I think I'm going through this kind of quick. Like I think I want to savor this a little bit more. And so I was like, instead of doing the temples, I'm gonna try to like get as many shrines as I can get before I continue on, because I really want to make this game last, because like I'm really having a really great time with it, right?
Yeah.
And so like, because my approach to Breath of the Wild was I'm gonna get all the towers first, because I just want to see the map. Like that's my goal. So I'm gonna try to see the map. And then I started doing the Divine Beast, and I was like, okay, you know, like I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit and see what I'm doing here, and then I'll continue on with the main story, because I like the main story. This one, I do feel like maybe I was kind of skirting along, like, oh, quest line, like, let me see what's up. But that makes me feel like I'm forgetting. There were definitely days or entire weekends where I'm like, okay, time to play Tears of the Kingdom, and like I boot it up and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll stream it today. And then I look at the clock and it's 8 hours later, and I'm like, well, never mind. I guess I just played this game for 8.5 hours, like multiple weekends in a row. And so like I don't know if there's necessarily a play the game however you want to play it. I don't think that there's a correlation there. Or I don't think it's weird that like, yeah, you want to play the game how you want to play it and you want to enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like a fear of beating the game too early. I have that a lot. Like,
and then just like not going back to
there's
it.
that.
Yeah, and
because,
then never beating it.
Because like I said that I just wanted like to pass the game and like, okay, go here, finish, do this do this temple and go to the next one. But no, like I caught myself playing like from 6 p.m. all the way. It's like, oh fuck, it's 2 a.m. What the fuck? Like what?
Yeah.
I was just seeing like, no, this can't be true. And I'm like, oh shit, it is.
Wow, you breaking you right now?
But even then, it's just like I felt like I passed it quick, but I probably like logged at like 10 hours a day, you know. And I'm like, I didn't speed run it, but I kind of, I still have so much left to do. Mm-hmm. But I think this game just really, it makes you lose control of your of what you want to do and just kind of experience the game for what it is, as opposed to like you being like very goal oriented right away, because there's just a lot of stuff to do no matter what. So
yeah,
I think this game does a good job of putting you into the world, making you feel this urgency, because it's like, oh my god, Zelda is gone, right? And then it makes you do that really cinematic dive off of the Sky Island down into the water, and then you're on the surface for the first time. And then you're like, dude, I just saw Zelda, and she might be dead or she's missing. Like, what is going on? And like, you're talking to everyone, and they're like, where the hell happened to Zelda? Like, where have you been? And there's a lot more urgency there than I think there was in Breath of the Wild, where it's just like, oh, you're back. Like, take your time, Link. Zelda's, capturing the castle, but take your time. But this one, I feel like, establishes its stakes right away. But at the same time, you can also just be like, what's going on with everybody? It's not that urgent. Just like with Breath of the Wild, like, go ahead, Link, do what you want, do whatever it is that you're doing, and then we'll catch you when we catch you.
Yeah, that could be it too, right? Like in the story wise, you're like, damn, I gotta go save her, and like, Link, you gotta do everything you can, dude. And Link's like over here, like, man, you know what? I'll cut the grass with my sword.
Yeah.
Especially because they're like, oh look, there's Zelda. She's doing something bad. She just whatever, like, she caused this to happen. It's like, what the fuck?
Zelda's
like,
a baddie.
Who is that?
More ways than one.
Exactly.
And then like half the people are like, I can't believe that she would do that, and then the other half of the people are like, the hell happened to Zelda? I love that everyone had like these really realistic reactions to her, I guess. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the princess would do something like that. Like, she isn't a bad person, is she? Like, come on. Don't we all know by now that it is not Zelda?
Right? Someone's being bamboozled, and I was like, wait, what? But that was pretty interesting in the first encounter. And the first time you hear that story, you're just like, wait, what? What's happening?
Yeah.
You're like, that's got to be somebody else, right? Maybe. But then you see Zelda, you're like,
maybe.
I mean, maybe she could have turned bad, like, because I don't want to go too far into the conversation, but as you start discovering things, you're like, there's a possibility that people could go bad. Like,
I mean, like, spoil away, but whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get into things. I have not done any of this side quest with Kilton at all.
Have you gotten any of the armor then?
My least favorite side quest of them all so far is finding the frogs in the caves. It's just like, it's very whatever to me. I just haven't interacted with them.
I think he's a funny guy.
He's goofy.
Yeah, he's funny. It's funny. It's okay. But I wouldn't say it was necessary. I was fine without him having a brother, like, he was interesting enough. I feel like they could have probably like done more with the original character than just adding a secondary one.
Oh, there's one mask. Oh, okay, this is how you get these. I understand.
I'm surprised you haven't gotten one yet.
I've gotten the gems. I just haven't made a point to talk to them yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't done everything. I haven't done all the side quests or anything like that. I know that I'm missing a handful of shrines as well.
So quick question. I'm also playing the game as we're talking.
Okay.
Did we do anything with that donut in Cocorico Village? Like, does anything happen there? Because I could never run into it.
Do you do anything with the donut?
Yeah, a giant
Donut.
floating donut.
The ring.
Yeah, the ring.
Yes,
Yeah.
you eventually do.
Oh, okay. I haven't
Like
used it yet.
donut.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
giant
order-
donut.
order-
The
donut from
the
Swordfish.
ruins. The ruins
Yeah,
that's
they're
suspended in the
yeah.
air.
Right, yeah.
They're more than just donuts. But yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, don't go close to the donut. And I'm like, why not? And I keep trying to go to the donut, but like I can't get in there. And I'm like, why am I still being stopped? I feel like I've done everything. So
You will be given a very strong plot indication that it's time to see the donut.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Because I've been curious about the donut. It's been haunting me. Every single time I play the game, I go to the donut and nothing happens.
Yeah, where that big buff guy and then Paya both stop you, and they're like, "No, you can't touch the donut."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't touch the donut.
You'll be given a very very strong plot indication that it's time to touch the
Gotcha.
donut. Ryudra says, "Hello, last day of the month. I'm trying to maximize my points, but it's not working." Oh, I'm sorry, Ryudra.
You can do it, Ryudra. We believe in you.
Yeah, we believe in you. You can crack that top spot if you try hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to something else that was new for this one is introducing the sages and the sage abilities and their temples.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the game makes you believe that there's going to be four sages, and then surprise, there's a fifth one. And each of them grants you a special ability in combat. They also give you their ghosts, like you can see running around with me here, and all of them have their different special abilities. Maybe we'll start with Dream. What were your impressions of the sages, their storylines, any favorite or least favorite temples? How'd you feel about the sages and their temples?
Well, I started off with Sedan.
Okay.
Like, I don't know why I just felt inclined to do Sedan. I think maybe because I did like the water first in Breath of the Wild, so I just kind of like went that way. But in terms of like favorite, what's the bird's name again?
Tulin?
Tulin. I liked that one. I like Tulin because like he's like a very like, let's go do it, Link, you know, as opposed to like Goro bro. Like he's very like, oh, well, you know, whatever, and like he's scared and stuff. And I like Sedan's as well, but I think just like Tulin was like just the experience of like being on the like just going higher and higher and higher, and then fighting the crazy beast. Like I think that probably is like the best for me personally, like the best designed like boss in this game. And I mean, obviously, like you could get away. You could like there's other methods of like flying with what you could build, but like using like Tulin's ability to, you know, go like horizontal in the air is very useful. But I really did like the fire temple as well, like when you're handling the carts to like get through and like activate all the things that you need to activate. I mean, I do like the girl's power. I forget her name, but because it's strong. But I don't know. Just in general, I liked Tulin's and then the most. I don't like the fifth sage one. Not.
We'll get to Minoru.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
How about for you, Agent? Any standout moments during the temples or for the sages? It sounded like you had a bit of beef with one of the sages, but were there anything that you wanted to mention about him?
So the first temple I experienced was the fire temple, which blew me out of the water because I thought that was gonna be the setting for every other temple, right? Because you go into
That's true.
That's really interesting. You did the fire temple first.
Dude, I did the fire temple first. I was so like amazed. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to this volcano. It's so dark. Why am I going underground? Like, I can't see squat." I'm like telling Shire, like, "Shire, what's going on over here?" She's like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what the f is happening." And then, sure enough, you use those little light sticks, right? Like, you start smacking them. You put the plants down. So like, I'm discovering so much at a single time. And all of a sudden, it says like, "Oh, this volcano is the fire temple, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, are they really gonna go like this route and create like a temple out of like a whole freaking like biome? But sure enough, that wasn't the case. Like the other temples were just like, oh, here's a temple, kind of like here and there, and I'm like, oh man, I felt a little bit disappointed because like the fire temple I felt was so like well thought out and like established
Yeah.
into the mountain itself. Like it really like set a tone, and then it just like crapped all over it, and I was like, damn, like I really wish like they would have just kept this kind of momentum, or maybe I'm not sure what happened exactly, but I felt like they just kind of got either like they ran out of time or like they just had to do something else. But like that temple felt so innovative compared to everything else that they offered. And then like his ability is okay. Like it's whatever. Like I honestly just use it to break clusters of rocks so I can get like minerals.
Absolutely.
So he's a cluster guy, right? Like I mean it's okay. It's practical. Like it has his uses, but
Yeah, he's got utility.
overall,
It's got utility.
yeah. Overall, it's okay. My biggest issue though is I keep running into those. Solomon, can I cuss?
Why not? Like we're good.
Okay. So I keep running into these motherfuckers every single goddamn time that I'm trying to pick up a fucking item. I try to press A, and all of a sudden this fucking sage comes in front of me, and he fucking rolls out. He destroys all the fucking items in front of me. He roasts all the freaking ingredients, and then he scatters whatever things I want to collect. I'm like, you're so effing useless. Get the out of here, dude. Like, no, this is not how I want to use you. I wish they would just have, you know how they have the wheel mechanic when you press what is it, the L button. I wish they had like a tab so you press the L button and then the R button, and then you would open the sage menu, so then you could use any sage ability at your own will, rather than like having to run into them like, hey, let me use your powers real quick, or like if you press it twice in a panic you'll cancel their power out, and I'm like, dude, that's not cool. That's what I really dislike.
That, and sometimes when you want to use their powers, they're like so far away from
they're
the
super
screen.
far away from you. Like Reed, you come back to me, please.
Come here. I need you here, not over there. Like,
yes.
Oh my god.
Right?
Yeah. I remember that feeling also, especially during Riju's temple, where I'm like, I need you to shoot lightning at this moth thing so that I can kill it, please. Like, please stay next to me.
Doing her own thing,
right? I think he's weak to lightning. Well, get the fuck over here then. Dude, it pissed me off, and it still continues to irritate me. I'm like, Nintendo, why did you overlook this? Like, why couldn't you just give us like a little wheel? You know, like I felt like it would have been intuitive, it would have been easy, and it wouldn't been much of a distraction, or like like a big, huge kind of implementation to the system.
I do like that. Otherwise, they go and fight other monsters kind of on their own, because I do think it would also be annoying if you had to direct them, like, go fight that thing, go fight that thing. Like if you had to like army command them, I think that would have been worse. But I do wish that there was some kind of shortcut to be like, sort of like how Tulin always pops up when you're gliding, right?
Yeah.
And like, is there another button combination that we could use to like get sight and shield on without him being right next to us, or like, roll into a ball, like with the L menu or something like that. I think that could have been doable. But
yeah, just their powers, not really like command them to fight. Just like, hey, like I need the shield. Okay, hey, I need you to activate your thunder. Okay, like wherever they are, it's fine. But I just have the ability on hand or on a menu wheel or something like that. It would have made it a lot more convenient.
So then, question:
from
Breath of the Wild to this game, which sages are like? Do you think are better?
Oh,
like, or more effective? Like, personally,
I mean, Tulin is the MVP just because Tulin also never misses a headshot. So that part,
he does
that part I appreciate a lot. I do miss Daruk's protection, the shield ability over Sidon's shield, just because I liked that insurance of just like, if I need to get a perfect block, I want my perfect block, even if I can only use it once or twice. I miss the easier to use AoE from oh god, what's her name with the thick thighs? From Breath of the Wild. I miss that version of the lightning
Yeah, hers
attack
hers hits everything that's like in proximity.
where you can do
So-
where like the lightning gets attached to your spin attack. I miss that a lot.
Dude, that
But-
was so cool.
But I also like the sniping effect, like being able to shoot an arrow and then she's gonna snipe it for you. Like that I like.
True.
But overall, I think that I would have preferred attaching an AOE to the sword spin. I don't know. Minoru's there, like she tries.
I like how y'all just didn't talk about her at all.
I like. Okay, the thing that I did like is I like her section right after you finish the temple, and there's like it's like teaching you how to do it. So it's like you can attach a rocket to my back. You can like put a weapon on my arms, and like you're just mowing down enemies. That part I like. That part was really fun in the underground. But otherwise, I do feel like she just gets in the way. And I'm like, I'll give you some weapons, but you know, that's okay.
I think she's just a glorified like rock breaker, you know? Like, oh, like there's some rocks I could break. Let me get Minoru over here for that.
Yeah.
Instead of like using your weapons or
I like that too.
Goro bro.
But the Goro bro?
Goro bro's good, but like the minerals will go up in the air or like go far away.
Yeah.
But with Minoru, she'll just like break them and they're like right there on the floor next to you.
You still have to attach something to her arms to do that, though. Like
No,
you don't. She can
yeah,
smack
you
him.
do.
No, she smacks him
I
and breaks
never
him.
attach anything.
Oh,
and-
really? Okay, I was
it,
doing it wrong then because I was like,
Yeah.
she can't even break things unless I attach a steel ball or a spike ball or something.
No.
No, you could just go willy nilly, man. Like,
Too much
Okay.
high maintenance there.
yeah,
That's good. That's good to know.
She
Yeah.
has to have more of a use than just that, you know? 'Cause,
same.
like, she's so slow. I mean, aside from her walking on, like, you know, the
the
gloom on the floor.
yeah, the gloom.
Aside from that, it's just like, well, you know, you're all right.
Right? Yeah, she's a gloom walker. Really, that's what. She's a pair of shoes.
But I
and that's
like
so sad.
but I liked that. I liked that they gave her a section to show that to me instead of it just being like, oh, I guess you're stuck in a robot, sorry girl. Like I found her story to be like just as tragic as Zelda's. We'll talk about that in a bit. I just wanted to mention, because you guys were talking about which temples you did first. I did the Wind Temple first, which is the area that I'm in right now. And I broke the story and I missed one of the checkpoints that actually adds Tulin to your party. And so for the entire ascent, the way that I was making the jumps was I would use, what would I use? I would bundle together sticks and then a pine cone.
Yeah.
And then if you stick them together, it creates an updraft. And that's how I thought that you were supposed to make all of the jumps. And I was like, this is wild. Like, how does anyone figure this out?
That's funny.
But every single jump, that's how I made it. And I got all the way up to the top of the temple. And then you can't do anything up there because you don't have Tulin's ability. But I gotta say, like, the ascent all the way up, like, as you're just going higher and higher and higher and higher, I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, Agent, the reaction that you had to, like, oh my gosh, they made an entire biome for this temple, that was my reaction going up higher and higher and higher and higher, like, on those boats, eventually all the way up there. I was like, this is incredible. Like, that's where this game, I was like, oh, this is different. That, like, I haven't played a game that does this before. Like, that felt really, really special. I have to admit, I was a little shocked to hear you talk so highly about the Fire Temple, because that's actually my least favorite one. Because I kept getting turned around on the mine carts, I was like, this is not a Fire Temple. This is wasting my time temple. Like, I cannot figure out where the hell I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, like, I liked it because I like puzzle games, so I just felt like a puzzle game. Like, okay, like if I activate this and I activate that, that's how we go. So,
but I do think that's the
I get what
second
you
best
mean, though.
boss of them.
Yeah.
I think that this one's the Sky Temple's boss, I think, is the best one because it's so cinematic. But I did like the rock Goma.
Yeah.
And using
I think
Yunobo's ability to knock it off the ceiling. Like, I thought that was
Yeah.
the squid octopus was just annoying because it just like gunks up the place and you can't do anything unless you like have a water like system set up.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it's just like, oh bro, you're annoying. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Go home.
I definitely feel like the Wind Temple and the Rock Temple were the strongest ones for me. The other ones are like honestly pretty forgetful because I don't even remember till I didn't remember what the boss was till Dream said it right now.
No,
I
the
was like, oh
squid.
yeah,
The
squid,
water
yeah. I
one was
like,
more
oh.
confusing to me than anything because I
It
remember
didn't
like
feel like a water one. I mean, it obviously it is water related, but like since you're in the air, you get launched
Mhm.
up. It's just like, oh, it's like water sky type,
Yeah, well,
you know?
yeah. It didn't feel like it had its own identity, right? It was like a bit of a mixture. You're just like, ooh, is this water or what? Like, what's? I felt like we were gonna be submerged into water at one point, but it never
Yeah.
happened.
Because like
I liked
Sedan like starts
the
swimming and doing circles, you know, in the water, and then
oh yeah
but
like another sequence like the first game, right, where like oh we
yeah,
got to infiltrate the boss and then we're gonna do something like that. I love how like BFF Sidon is with Link though. He like he talks so highly of
so
him and
man crush.
like yeah, it's like a little bit of a man crush. Like they have that statue of the two of them like swimming through the water, which is so funny. I
Yeah.
love that the Zora are just down. They're just like no, like Link, our other hero, like he's the best. Like I love that attitude with it. I thought that was really funny writing at
Yeah,
that point too.
I like because honestly, like all the Zoras always have a sad story in every other like Zelda game. It's like, yeah, these guys, you know, they're just polluting our water. They froze our people. These guys are like, our half of our children are dead. This giant fish like ate all our guppies, so maybe there's like one or two
Guppy.
kids left. And you're just like, damn, like Soras are just getting messed up left and right. You finally have like a charismatic hero where he's like, hey man, like you know things are tough, but like we'll you know we'll do our part to make sure it you know it's on the up and up.
Okay, I remember what I did now. It was I'm missing an ingredient. It's firewood, the pine cone, and then flint. So if you put all of these together,
That does an updraft.
it doesn't
Yeah, it
updraft
creates,
with
like-
the fire because the pine cone is oily, is what
Oh,
it says.
I've
And
never seen that.
So this is how I made every jump going all the way up to the top of the temple.
Jeez.
How did you figure that out though? The pinecone thing.
They tell you,
the game
they-
tells you that there's a side quest where one of the old NPCs ask you for pine cones because he's like, oh, I'm like low on supplies. Can you get me these pine cones? They're really important so we can keep the fire going because it's so cold. And then that's where I learned that.
Well, that's pretty neat then.
Yeah, and so every jump all the way up to the top of the temple, I was like, they expected you to do this all the way up. Like, what if you run out of materials?
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, I'm dumb. I need to go find Tulin.
That's funny. Oh, those
and-
bosses were cool though. Those bosses were cool.
Oh yeah. Eddie was the one who showed me that you can grab the weak point with Ultra Hand, which I was
Oh.
completely unaware of. But
Moz
you-
said the same thing. He said that he was just shooting arrows at it. I was like, the first thing I did was try to snatch it out.
Yeah, that did not occur to me at all. I was like, oh, I guess I got. I would try to snatch it out after like it went into the cube mode, but not like just while it's doing its thing.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say about the sages or the temples or the bosses? There was the moth boss. There was there's the squid boss. And then there was like the battle bots boss with Minoru, which I actually liked. I liked
Yeah, that was
a lot.
funny.
Yeah. Where like you're stealing its weapons and then using them against it. Like I thought that part was cool.
So I guess Dream asked the question as well. I would say I had more fun on these temples than I did with the other ones, but I preferred the other abilities over these if I had a choice. If that makes sense.
I liked that the Breath of the Wild abilities you get from like the source, right? And they're like directly blessing you with that power. But like I like that aspect of it instead of it just being the like these ghosts that they now have the ability to I guess make force ghosts and hang out with you.
Yeah.
I think it might have been interesting. I get for plot reasons why not, but it would have been nice if, like, no, they're actually here, right? Instead of it just be kind of like how they team up with you for their particular story. Like maybe make the other ones go away. Like when you're doing the lightning temple, like oh maybe the others have to go back to their hometowns and it's just you and Riju like one on like tag teaming it. And then like when you're in the regular world, like, okay, now everyone's back together. But you know, that ends up being okay. I think.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So the geoglyph storyline, this is kind of the replacement for the memories of the first game. I think I was under the impression that you were forced to see them in order, but then I learned that that's not true.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dream was the one who let me know that you didn't have to see them in order because he did not see them in order, as far as I'm aware. So, what were your impressions of the geoglyph storyline and figuring out what happens to Zelda? Maybe aging.
Dude, I don't even remember. What? Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I went through them so fast that I hardly remember exactly what happened. Like I could maybe tell you like a very like crappy summary of what happened, but honestly, I don't remember the memories that well.
Okay. No, that's fine. I like we don't necessarily need to summarize them, but like it's glimpses into like what happened, what actually happened to Zelda. You know, where did she go? And then they play a little coy with it, but I don't think they're too coy about it. It's like, yeah, we get it. She went back into the past.
Oh wait, yeah. Okay, sorry.
It's those cutscenes.
Got it. I was kind of filler busting to really remembered something significant, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So the story wasn't bad though. Actually, like it was a little interesting. I felt like I had a little novella action. I was just like, ooh, Zelda's gonna do something crazy, and like I thought it was gonna be like a little bit more plot between the characters, but like there kind of wasn't, and it was a decent story, I guess. Like if we call it that. Zelda, like going back in time and like having to discover like she had powers and Rauru and stuff like that. I would give it like maybe like a 6 out of 10. I wasn't completely fascinated by it, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, to kind of like piggyback off of what Agent said. I guess this is and I guess it also plays into how these new Zelda games, like their story is being told, where similar to the previous game where you're trying to remember your memories, right? In this game, the story, the plot is being told by the geoglyphs. When you look at like the present time, there isn't really much happening. You just have to go find and stop Ganon. But like in the previous games, like we'll say 64 or Majora's Masks, like things that you do, there's consequences to them, or things are happening because of the present, as opposed to like everything happened in the past or in this other timeline with Rauru and Zelda and everyone else. So in that sense, for me, I had the most, well, for the like 90% of the like game's emotional attachment came from that, and then the rest is like kind of like what we've been talking about for the past like hour. We've been talking about like the the techniques, the new cool features we have, right, as opposed to like the storyline. And I think that's, for me, that's like an interesting thing about like this game, because we're like, oh yeah, like it's really cool, like how we could do this and this and this and that, but when it comes to the story, it's a little bit like, it feels like it's more in the back burner, right?
I don't know if it, but I think that was okay for me, because I don't know if I'm watching, I don't know if I'm playing a Zelda game because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be this shocking story, right? Like I'm not playing Legend of Zelda because like, oh, I can't wait to see what Ganon did this time, right? Like it's like maybe Mario Odyssey aside, like oh, I wonder what Bowser's gonna do with the princess. Like it's kind of the same every time, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that I did appreciate about the story is that I appreciate that it went to kind of like places that I didn't think that a Nintendo written story would. I didn't think that they would, for example, let Zelda self-sacrifice herself to like be cursed for millions of years.
Yeah,
to be a mindless whatever. for the sake of her kingdom. Like that was shocking to me. Like when I saw
that's
like when she makes that realization and then that cutscene plays, I was like, wait, she's gonna do what?
Yeah,
and then seeing it play out, I was like, damn, I didn't think a Nintendo game would go there. Like that was shocking for me.
That was on the novella part for me. I was like, oh my god, there is sacrifice.
Yeah. Or there was the other one where it's the one where I think Ganon tries to send like the army of monsters and then Raru is like, I don't think so, and then like Kamehamehas and just like kills everything in front of him, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm like, I didn't think that they would do that. Like that's an interesting thing. Like we knew what the end point was gonna be, but getting there was like truly surprising to me. I did not think that half of those plot points were going to happen. I was pretty surprised. I was pleasantly surprised that they decided to go the places that they did with the story.
Yeah.
That they did.
And seeing them in order was also kind of shocking to me, because I thought that you had to, but you didn't. And
So did you play them back then in order? And then did it feel any different?
no, so what happened was if you go to is it called the Forbidden Temple, the Lost Temple, this place, Forgotten Temple, deep inside of it, there's like a thing that shows the order that you're supposed, that the chronological order of them.
I didn't realize that,
and then I just
on.
did them in that order after a while. Yeah,
because I would go there just to see like if there was any other clues, and there was clues. I just didn't realize them. But I'm just like, is there anything else that I could do in here? But like, it's right in front of my face. Like, oh, here is the order. I'm just like, oh, okay. It wasn't until towards the end that I'm just like, oh, I'm a dumbass. But but they were still very impactful, because you piece them together later on. Like, oh, okay, this happened and before, this happened after, this is in between. So
yeah, I
think I found.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think I found the most important one at the very end, which is the Zelda one. So.
Me too. When she says the sacrifice, right? Yeah,
that's the one in the snowy area, I believe. I think.
The one that's in the open snowfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason that I thought that you had to do them in order is because I saw that one, but I couldn't find the point that activates the cutscene. And then I went back into the Forgotten Temple, and I was like, oh well, this one looks like it's later on in the thing, so maybe I just can't activate it yet. And so that's when I was like, okay, well maybe I have to do them in order. And then that's when I started doing them in order.
I didn't even know there was an order. I honestly still haven't discovered that part that you guys are talking about.
Okay.
But the way I discovered them, it kind of worked out that way. Like maybe it was a happy accident, but I felt like I received the story in a chronological order.
I think it would be real. It would probably be like very dramatic if you saw it out of order. Be like, wait, what the hell is happening to Zelda? Like, what'd she do that for?
Yeah. You go to you press start. You go to adventure log, and then you go to the memories. And
yes, it's in this.
They're right there.
Here.
Yeah,
and if you want to see them in order, it presents them to you in order also, which is kind of nice.
Who am I?
Those are the first pictures that I took, other than the monkey.
Yeah.
Was like, oh, there's the map. There they all are, and then it shows them in chronological order.
Oh,
so
I see.
So I got them in that order.
But now looking at the story, looking at these images, it was a really good story, I guess, because it's not delivered as you're doing things. It doesn't feel as dramatic. It feels like it's two different parts of the same game, where Dream was explaining that, in Majora's Mask or in Ocarina of Time, your actions are kind of causing these things to happen, or in consequence of your actions. Where in Breath of the Wild, you're just kind of getting random memories, and they do feel impactful because the story is it's interesting, but it doesn't really connect with you. It doesn't feel like your actions had anything to do with it, or your gameplay has anything to do with it. So it feels a little bit disconnected in that fashion.
Yeah, I definitely had issues with some of the other things feeling disconnected. We'll cover that in just a bit. Is there anything? Rife says I got them out of order. Also, I did the Thundering Isles before finishing the 4 main quests that kind of spoiled a little. Yeah, I remember I also tried to access the Thundering Isles before I was directed to go up there, and I was like, oh, this isn't where you're supposed to be. And so that part was also. I eventually went back to that afterwards. I don't want to fight this thing right now. It's over here. Yeah. And anything we want to cover about the geoglyphs before we go on to the next thing?
I thought they were interesting. I like the geoglyphs in the game. Like it adds a lot of color, a lot of vibrancy to the map. They're interesting. It's an interesting way to deliver a story. I don't really know what they have to do with the story itself, though. Like the geoglyphs, like what's up with the markings? Like did a dragon just take a dump and like make it happen? But I don't know. It's kind of funny for me. Like it was a little odd. I guess Zelda was the one that like started crying, right? And she started making those.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're led to believe. Like, oh, that's how these got.
That's how these happen. But they don't really explain them too much, so I'm just like, it's kind of silly, but it's kind of cool at the same time. I like the geoglyphs just based off like, because we see them in in the actual world, and a lot of like native people left those behind. So it's an interesting vehicle to deliver a story on. But
yeah,
regardless of, I mean, besides that, I don't know why they're there, and I don't feel like they're really explained.
Like,
but do you think
you want to poke a little bit?
Oh, go ahead, Dream.
Like, because obviously she becomes a dragon, right? So maybe these are some of the like powers or abilities that these dragons possess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the ability to, give people insights to the past and stuff like that. So I mean, obviously they won't touch too much on it because it's not like a main thing for them, like for the story. But
that was also her power. Like her power was based in time, and so
exactly, for her.
It makes sense that she's got this innate, like, show you the history ability, I guess, or whatever. It's not that deep. It doesn't have to be that deep either.
I guess so. But for me, I was like, at least I would want a simple explanation of how these geoglyphs got here, not just like there's crying dragons that somehow make a calligraphy on the floor with the tears.
That's true.
Minor criticism, but yeah, we'll go and move on.
No, I had similar thoughts, and I felt the same way about this compared to the memories in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Too, where I was like, I do wish that some of the narrative elements and the gameplay elements were tied to get together a bit stronger. In my opinion, I think that some of those elements were tied together stronger in Breath of the Wild than they were in Tears of the Kingdom. It all works and it's fine, but I do wish that there was a stronger connection for some of that stuff. Let's talk about the other kind of major thing that I think that they kept under wraps pretty well before the game came out, and that is the depths. So we've mentioned it a few times, but there's an entire second map underground in this game.
What, third map, wouldn't it be?
Or I guess a third map. And my God, the first time that I entered this, I was like, what the hell is this? like and then going down there and realizing like, oh, this is like huge. Like this is a gigantic, huge area. What were your impressions of the depths the first time that you went down there, Agent?
Well, like I said, my first time going down there was with the
oh,
fire
that's right.
temple. So,
oh my God.
So for me, like I was just like, okay, is this just a small area here? And then I saw like there was those glowing pods from a distance, and I was just like, no, this is like an entire world down here. I was just kind of blown away. I felt like I got such a like genuine and like unique experience in that situation because like I got everything in Breath of the Wild. Right, you come from the sky. I landed. I saw the world up there, the world, in the Middle Earth, and then all of a sudden you go down to the the center of the freaking Earth. I'm like, what the? It felt so expansive. I felt so lost, and like everything felt like it was dangerous. I couldn't see anything. It felt like it was scary. It was terrifying. Really, like those in simple words, it was scary, terrifying, and exciting. And I'm just like, I have so much to explore. The ambiance of the music is like it's perfect. It's eerie, but it's not too scary, like it just kind of like it encourages you to kind of keep looking at the same time. And I'm just like, man, there's so much going on. There's mobs, there's giant big beasts and stuff like that. It was just it was intimidating. It was intimidating, fun, and scary at the same time.
It certainly was. How about for you, Dream? Where was your entry point into the depths?
I think like when you're in the lookout and then you go south, there's like a big old, you know, opening. So I went in right away, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
"Whoa, what the hell? Like, what
Yeah.
the hell's this?" Because like obviously I mentioned it before. Like when it comes to like Nintendo, they don't really show like anything that might resemble like blood, and I think this is as close as you could get to it. It is. I mean, it's not blood, but it's still like it.
I mean, it's
it
deep
looks
red,
like it.
and it comes
You
out
know?
when
Yeah.
you hit enemies. Like, yeah.
In certain areas, it's just like so dark. Like it, like I was opening my eyes to see if I could see more, which to no avail. It didn't work. But that's like the sense. It's like when I play
Nice.
Silent Hill, like that's what I feel. Like I'm trying to keep
Mhm.
myself like composed. But so it's just like I have to find the light. I have to find the light. Like it feels like you're in there, like in real life, like trying to, get some sort of lights to help you out there. And then like the enemies themselves are like crazy strong, and the gloom affects you and stuff like that. So it definitely was a component. I think if I had like a percentage as to where I spent most of my time, I probably spent like 75% of my time in the deaths trying to figure out, like trying to like light up everything. And that was just like my personal like quest, like for this game, to like make sure that I turn on everything. Just because like to explore and see what else there is in this place, and like you also gets to fight the the bosses from the temples again in I forget how many times, but yeah, it's just
They're all
like,
over the place.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, right. They have the juiciest of bosses down there. I'm like, this is really hard mode. Like okay, you have Zelda, like easy mode on top, medium mode in the bottom, in the center, and then hard mode all the way in the bottom. And like it feels really challenging and really rewarding. Like I fought that giant three-headed dragon, the king of whatever, Gamora, whatever the name is.
King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Out
Yeah,
there.
King Ghidorah. I was just like, oh my god, this is so crazy. Like I was so mad so many times because I kept getting killed at the last minute and they couldn't figure out how to kill it. And then Maz was like, dude, you gotta use like, he gave me a hint one time. He's like, you gotta use the key size or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
I was so mad because I was watching Eddie play that part, and I was like,
Yeah.
Eddie's gonna get roasted by the King Gliok, like, because it took me a long time to beat the King Gliok. But no, Eddie was very practical. He used a practical strategy. I did not use a practical strategy, and he just kept using the eyes over and over and over because he had a billion of them. And I was like, oh, he beat it in one cycle. This took me like half an hour to beat this boss. Why didn't I think of using the eyes?
Yeah, what the heck, Eddie?
But that to me is probably the most challenging boss, just because you can't rely on one elemental weakness. You got to use all three, and it can electrocute you, freeze you, and fry you at the same time, and you can't protect yourself from all of those elements at the same time. Yeah, my entry point to the depths was that one that's just south of Lookout Landing, because there's a quest that encourages you to go down there.
Yeah,
As soon as I
that's
jumped down there, I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, what is this?" And my impression was the exact same thing. I was like, "Where's the light route? Like, I need these immediately." But I do think it became like very, very rewarding to explore. I didn't know. I didn't find the shrine that taught you that you can throw things until really late. So I thought the only way to set the light, the seeds, was with arrows. So I was always running out of arrows, and I was like, I guess I guess that's the soft time limit on how long you can be in the depths before you have to like go back up and get new stuff. Until somebody was like, no, you can just throw the light roots and keep progressing that way. And that was really useful. And yeah, I do think you find like all sorts of cool stuff down here. There's also the other connection between, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't tested it myself, but the pristine weapons, you know, like the weapons with the sparkles on these platforms. Apparently, on the surface, that's where one of the gravestones with a silent princess is.
Oh.
which I was unaware of. And then the one that really blew my mind when somebody explained it to me was, what is it? It's stables on the surface are where Lionels are in the underground.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, and that one is like, oh my god, but it also made them a lot easier to find. Thankfully, it's like if you go to this light route here, I believe there should be a Lionel right next to it. Yeah, but yeah, it was nice to refight bosses. It was also just nice to fly around and also find all the inventions from the Yiga down there.
yeah. Yeah, they're crafty.
That plot line was also both serious and very funny. I liked seeing
Funny
Master
for sure.
Yiga back. And he's such a goofy, like, Team Rocket villain.
Yeah. And it did get serious and then, like, funny at the same, like you said, like, you said it perfectly, honestly, because at one point I was just like, damn, this seems kind of dark. But then, like, he comes out and he's kind of goofy with a belly and stuff like that. You're like, oh, never mind.
Which was his role in the first game also.
Yeah.
But I liked that they made him legitimately threatening. Like,
yeah.
oh, he's got like all these machines,
problem.
like he's got all these robots, like his followers are still like giving him stuff. You know, that made it feel like, oh, there's some stakes here that I don't think that we saw with him previously to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first place that I actually fought a Lionel was in the Lionel Coliseum. That's the last place that I died, actually, and that was also terrifying.
And speaking of like bosses like that, I was so used to, like, in Breath of the Wild, fighting those giant rock things with my bombs being free.
Yes.
And the first time I fought one in Tears of the Kingdom, I'm like, okay, time for my... Oh, crap.
Time for my
I don't
nothing.
have any bombs. Yeah. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It killed me. For sure, it killed me like 2 or 3 times because, like, I was such a scrub. Like, I became useless without my infinite bombs.
There's one... I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's I saw it early in the game, and it's close to where you see the first geoglyph, or you meet Impa, and she talks to you about the geoglyphs, and there's a battle talus with the bokoblins riding on top of it on top of platforms, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And that thing like smacked the hell out of me the first time. Oh, Rife wants to know about your experience the first time you were fighting Gloom Hands.
That was scary.
I avoided that for
was
such
so
a long
terrifying.
time. And I got scared because I was like, what are these guys talking in our spoiler channel? You guys were like, did you guys fight the hands yet? And I was like, what the hell? Like, what hands? I haven't seen any hands.
Yeah, that was me. It was my bad. I was just like, have you guys fought those hands with the eyes on them? Like, they're terrifying. What do you
Well, like, how would you know? Right.
too.
Right. Like, we all just assumed that everyone is doing everything in the same order. That's why I was so afraid to mention anything too. But yeah, for the hands, when I finally saw them for the first time, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is this?
I mean, once you, like, the first time is like, okay, finally I defeated the hands because I'm camping up here.
Yes.
But then you see like the Phantom Ganon pop out. I'm like, oh, what the
I was like,
fuck?
oh, yeah. The first time I was like, I have the high ground. I'm just gonna shoot it with bombs. Like I don't care how many bombs it takes, but I'm gonna kill this thing. And then all of a sudden, like the sky goes dark, the moon rises. And you're like, what is this? And then Phantom Ganon pops out, and he's like, no. You thought you were making it better, but you made it worse.
Yeah, I ended up fighting I met the first one in a cave. The second one I met out in the plain field, and it was like a bit of a forest kind of area.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I went to the forest section. I was just like, all right, this is terrifying. Let me use the forest as a means to like burn them down, right? So I just started throwing like a bunch of fire arrows and flashing it, and it died. And I was like, ooh, I killed it. I was so happy. And then all of a sudden, like you said, Solomon, like it just goes dark. The freaking the trees start falling, and then Ganondorf comes out. And then, like, he walks all cool and like you know, like really like deadly like, and I was just like, what is happening? Why
He's
did
looking
the hand
at you
become
like, what
into
do you
this?
think you just did? Like,
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? What? It was so exciting and so scary at the same time.
Yeah, it was. I love the weapons you get from beating him, though. I love the bow that becomes more
bow's
powerful the
very
more
nice.
hearts you have. I don't use the
Is that how it
sword.
works?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one right now. It's or maybe I use it up. Yeah, so as long as I have full hearts, it does 58, and it doesn't kill you while you're using it, which is very nice. Unlike the the gloom sword or whatever it's called.
The club, I think it's
Yeah.
Yeah, the
something like
club. Yeah.
Oh, there's a club and there's a sword. Rife says, "Oh, look, a hand monster. Wait, why can't the camera identify it? Wait, oh, it's zombie. Oh no, get away, get away." Yeah, exactly. Terrifying. One of the best enemy designs in the game. I think.
It is.
Like,
It is.
like, it terrifies you right off the bat, and then when you think you've killed it, it comes back better than ever before.
Like also too, like the hands are like screaming, like or like have like these very
Yeah.
like high-pitched voices,
Like, screechy, right?
Like,
They were just
oh,
screeching.
whoa, what the fuck? Like, bro, get away.
Yeah. Honestly, like it's very reminiscent of Majora's Mask. Those there were bad guys that looked like worms. They had like a very long neck, almost the
like
so hard to
likes.
describe.
Right?
They're like very fleshy. Yeah, kind of like that. They're very flesh. Not the like likes. No, the like likes are like worms. The ones that they're like maggots. These guys, they're almost like skinless,
Ugh.
very long necked, and they have a bunch of random hands that pop out of the ground and they grab you, and you see them in like in the like the shadow temple or something like that, where like you go for the grave site when you're like an older Link. That's what they reminded me of. I did a terrible job at explaining what they are, but
No, but I think that makes a good point. I think that they really upgraded the terrifyingness of the monsters. Like like even in the Sky Island, the first Sky Island, when you see a like for the first time, I was like, "What the crap is that?" Like that thing's disgusting. And then like seeing how all the monsters have started to like mutate. Like now they have horns, and now they've got also their gross stuff like growing off of their bodies. I was like, wow, they really they kind of up this a little bit because the enemies in Breath of the Wild, like, yeah, they were threatening, but they were also kind of goofy, and there weren't that many of them, right? So except for Lionel's, it's like, I can handle this. But in this game, like a lot of stuff is just there to mess you up real quick.
yeah, a lot of them Breath of the Wild were like really cute, but in Tears of the Kingdom, they're not cute.
No, they know what they're doing. Like they've leveled up too. They know what's up. Like they know how to use all these combination weapons that you're using also. Like they'll fire elemental arrows at you and stuff like that. Like definitely a lot more threatening. Let's see.
Oh yeah, they're called dead hands. Like
Dead hands.
I'm not sure if I could post a link or not, but here's
Should be okay.
here's what I was thinking about.
Okay. Oh, my bow is dead. That's why.
Oh yeah, those are ugly.
They sprout random hands from the floor and they'll grab you and they don't let go, and that kind of reminded me of that.
Nasty.
Yeah. I was like, oh, these guys are back, and I felt like they did a little bit like a a nod to a lot of the old kind of creatures they had in different games, and they brought them all together, which I really liked. And also another thing, I'm not sure if you could tangent off already. Solomon.
Go ahead.
Did you have another?
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
like talking about the depths, like one thing I really loved about the depths is that a lot of the armor is down there. So like you feel like
Yes.
you're rewarded for like all your troubles. Like me trying to get the Twilight Princess entire outfit, like I had to fight some of the toughest bosses to get it, and I was so happy about that because it felt challenging and it was rewarding. And then I actually get to look like Link in a Legend of Zelda game.
And like have all of that as because you're actually exploring all of the nooks and crannies, like where all the stuff could be.
Yeah.
And you finally find like a rare piece of armor. Like I like that about it too, that it had like all of those different things that you could find there. Like that was definitely very satisfying.
Yeah,
Sure.
because looking like Link for me like goes a long way, and the nostalgic Link, right? I like the green tunic, I like the darker colors and stuff like that, and I like that they have like pretty much every single version of them, right? From what
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah, seems like it.
I think so. Like I didn't.
The Wind Waker Link.
I have very few
Twilight
complete
Princess.
sets, which makes me mad. But finding. I think the only complete one I have is of the Wind, which he looks like it. How different are these
Does he?
hats? Not that different, but
No, but they're cool though. Like it
no, but
just-
it's
still looks
nice.
unique.
It's nice to
Yeah.
have. Like it's definitely nice to
Yeah.
have all those things kind of all together in one place. Like I like that about it.
Yeah, that part was cool because back then it was just like, okay, I have gear, but so what? I just bought it. Like, did I really earn it? Not really. Like, I like how they made you like all the things that we kind of got for free in Breath of the Wild. We had to really earn in Tears of the Kingdom, and that made it feel like that much harder, and it made the world seem, like you said, Solomon, like it made the world seem a lot more dreary than in the prior game.
Before we go on to talk about the end game, were there any other side quests, any other missions in the game that you felt like were standouts to you, made you laugh, that you liked a lot, were frustrating? Anything that stood out in that way to you? I've got a couple of examples in my head, but I'm curious to see what stood out to you guys.
There was that funny one that Agent did on stream. The one about that lady.
Yes,
like, wants you
that was what I wanted to talk about.
Go help her friend or something.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, my friend, she's over there. Would you go over there? I'm just like, huh? Oh yeah, go more over there. It's just like, what the fuck? You look creepy, lady. You look suspicious.
She makes you go to like 5 or 6 different places. I love that one. I was like, this is obviously a trap, and it just keeps going and going and going. I was like, this is so funny.
Wait, it cut off.
Oh, I like that one because like it's so obvious that she's a bad guy, but but like whatever, just like let it go. I'll see where this goes.
Yeah, like, sure, I'll follow, I guess.
Yeah.
The one you mentioned, Solomon, the guide, like I don't know if you consider that a quest or not. The one where you help him with the structures. I consider that a quest. That guy made me laugh.
Oh yeah,
it was kind of funny.
I like that guy. Oh wow,
Yeah.
have I fought this yet?
There's so many taluses. I'm like, what?
The other quest that I liked a lot was saving the village from the pirates.
Oh,
Yeah.
that took a while. I feel like it took a while.
It did take a while. It was overly long, but I also liked that you were like rebuilding the town and all that stuff, and then they want to make it more tourist friendly, so you help them build like boat races and stuff afterwards. That part I really liked. I thought that was really cute, and and I liked it because it was different to some of the other stuff that was happening too.
Yeah, that one was good. One of my friends did not like it. He was was the bane of his existence. He was like, "Why do you have to do all that?" Back then, it just like you could just go there. Like, they don't have to make you do all this and that. I'm like, bro, like, chill.
It's
So
okay.
he had the complete opposite reaction. For him, it was just like, "When I gotta do all this, kill him, and they're killing me, and I can't do it, and so hard. Like, I need all these items." And I'm like, yeah, I guess you do. I didn't think about it that way. I thought it was just like an interesting quest where you like, get to kind of exercise your abilities and like almost kind of like Hyrule Warrior style, like I felt like you're really fighting like large mobs.
So
But-
I think. Oh, good.
No, I was sorry, I was just kind of repeating myself. But at that point, like I don't really remember too many quests specifically. I just know that like I had a lot of fun with it. Like, but I guess the standout was definitely just that wood guy. Like that's the only thing I could think about it immediately.
He was so goofy. I just love that you found him everywhere. Like he's in the snow, he's in the lava,
Oh my God.
he's everywhere. Like
He's like a puppy, right?
so
Like, what are you doing
dedicated.
here?
Yeah, so dedicated to his work.
Mm-hmm.
Get a vacation, dude.
Right? Hyrule Castle Chasm.
Right. I think it's time to start talking about the end game. But it sounds like, Agent, that you've also been down here.
I went
Maybe?
there once by accident, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Where am I?" And then I started fighting a bunch of. That's the first time I actually encountered the giant insect, the insect that you get with the.
Oh,
lady.
really?
Yeah, I was like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "Insects typically don't like fire," so I shot it with a fire arrow, and sure enough, like it became,
true.
it became weak to it, and like, it started getting all weird and fragile and like white, and I was like, all right, cool. This sounds like I'm doing my job correctly. But all of a sudden, I kill it, and then they're like, oh yeah, now you fight this giant robot, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what is happening? I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, a great point to turn around if that was not your intended target.
Yeah, no, I died, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I still didn't visit. At that point, I didn't visit the Hyrule Castle yet.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll go back to the castle.
Oh, so you missed? Okay.
Yeah, but that's as far as I've gone. I went to Hyrule Castle already once, and Zelda was really inviting. She was like, "Come over to my bed, I'll show you what's good, and then you go up there and she tricks you.
Okay, so you did see
Also,
that
you
portion.
did, yeah.
You saw that
Yeah.
portion of it where they're like, "Oh my gosh, Link, we see Zelda at the castle. Like, you should go to the castle." Like you saw.
Yeah,
you saw
yeah, I
that
did
part?
see that part. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Because the thing that makes this game really hard to talk about is that I do think that a lot of people assume like, oh, when you're going to the castle, that's the end of the game. But it's actually like the second to last thing that you do, not the last thing that you do. I always get lost here how to get.
The quest that I'm in says destroy Ganondorf. Wind, fire, water, lightning, and spirit. The 5 sages have awakened and entrusted you with their power. You still don't know where Demon King Ganon is, but Pura says she suspects the depths. If you work with Joshua, she has been investigating the depths, you might gain a lead.
Well, you're in the right path.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
you
on the
just
right
gotta
track.
You just gotta beat the giant robot.
Yeah. So I think I have to go there, and that's the only thing I haven't done. I started collecting like food because I didn't have any. And that's when Solomon, you told me that the best food to make is just like the one singular truffle, because
yeah.
it gives you full health plus 1.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I'll do that, and that's exactly what I've been doing. So
That's my
I put,
broken strategy.
yeah, I put the truffle into my the little thing that helps you like seek stuff. What's it called?
The like the radar.
Yeah, the radar, yeah. So that's what I did, and I've been hunting a bunch of those so I could just do the boss and finish the game.
Okay. Yeah, this level. I think that's the thing that makes it difficult to gauge like where people are in the game because of that kind of fake out. Like you think it's going to be the last quest, but it isn't really. And then you're kind of set on the path to finish everything else after that. But for Dream and I, who have finished the thing, Dream, what were your impressions of like this last sequence, and then getting into those last encounters? Like how was that for you?
It was really amazing because, like in some ways it kind of reminded me of like Earthbound, because when you spearhead down to the bottom, it kind of reminds me of like when you enter like the Gygas part where you're like going up like that path and it looks like like a human body inside.
Yeah,
I mean, not that there's like that weird like that I mean, it's not like a apples to apples comparison, but it's still like in terms of like that anticipation of like, oh, I'm gonna pass this game soon, like I'm here, I'm there already, and like having to fight like the little hordes of enemies, and then fighting just the big robot, and then until you finally get the conclusion, like that in itself was like very, very challenging, but at the same time obviously very rewarding, because like you've been grinding so much just to get to this point, and then until you see Ganon.
Right. Like everything starts to look really organic, like because everything is covered in gloom and it's so disgusting looking, and then all of a sudden like you finally get to the encounter and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like this is so dramatic. And I like that it mirrors the I forgot that there's not a warp point to down there. And so I don't think I'm going to be doing the final encounter while we're talking. I should have prepped that a little bit better, but that's okay. So eventually you get to Ganon, and he's just like waiting there for you. He's just chilling. And you engage in combat. The sages pop up to help you take care of those bosses. So it's kind of like the first one, Agent, for Breath of the Wild, where any bosses that you haven't beaten already appear at that time, and then you have to beat them there. And so because you hadn't finished all the sages, that's why like the robot popped up, and that's why the moth popped up.
Oh, I see.
But because you've beaten the other ones, like they w't pop up. Like the sages pop in and they're like, "We got this for you, Link. Don't worry. Go kick Ganon's ass."
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like the equivalent of in Breath of the Wild when they shoot the laser, like when they all shoot the lasers out of the
Depending how many of the animals you did.
And then you have a final duel with Ganondorf, and I think the freakiest thing, and we'll see if Dream agrees with me or not, is I did not expect Ganondorf to be able to flurry rush you.
Oh.
So so
Yeah.
so he can also do the perfect dodge, like he can do the backflip dodge or he can do the sidestep dodge, and then you're in slow motion as he rushes your ass and starts slashing at
No
you. And
shit.
I was like, oh my god, like I'm getting my ass whipped. And because the entire floor is covered in gloom, your hearts start to permanently break, like they don't even reappear. And
Yeah.
like he shatters your heart container. So
Oh, what?
by the end of it, I only had like 2 hearts left. And
Yeah,
I'm
so
like,
you can't use
yeah.
what is it? A Sunderlion?
Yeah.
yeah, you
can't
can't
use that
use the
anymore.
Sunderline stuff
Oh, my
to
food is
restore your
useless.
hearts because they completely disappear as he hits you. And so it becomes
snap.
very, very high stakes very quickly to be like, oh shit. Like I'm losing and I'm losing badly.
Yeah,
at this
because
fight.
like in the previous one, you could like just mash or do whatever you want. You could heal. You're fine. But in this situation, it's just like, nah. You have to from the very beginning start like you have to be very tactical in terms of like preservation, because you don't want to fall like in a situation where you're low on health and then at the very end it's just like, oh shit, because every
Which was
hit
me.
does count.
Yeah.
in with Ganon.
And then eventually, you find your strategy to wear him down. And then he goes crazy insane. And and you enter the final phase. And he does the thing that you're not supposed to do. And he eats the stone that he steals from Sonia, right? Is that?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he turns into a dragon, and he and he's like, and he was like, I would rather sacrifice my mind than be defeated by you or whatever. And he gets really desperate, and then he turns into a dragon, and you have this very cinematic but also very easy boss battle in
You're copying his temples.
in the sky.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah, and like you hop all over him, you slash at his body, and then eventually he dies, and then you.
In this part of the game is when you want to like take as many pictures
Uh-huh.
as you
it's
can, like
gorgeous.
with your controller, because there's like so many like shots. Like I wanted to use one of them like for my stream, like for my pre-stream picture.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I do have one, but like they would all give away the ending, or like you would be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I don't want to spoil anything for
Yeah.
people who haven't like, finished it, because it's just like, this
I-
looks so cool. Where's this from?
I
I
think
see.
if you wait another like half year,
Yeah.
it'll probably be
Yeah.
okay. But I had the same thought because you're so high up in the sky, like higher than most of the sky islands, and it's just like, wow, you can see everything for like across the whole landscape. And if you're like me and don't figure out how the battle works for a while, like multiple days passed when I was playing it. Like you see the sunset, you see the sunrise, like it looks really cool. And I'm like, wow, this is so cinematic. This is really amazing. And I like that the last section is really more of a cinematic battle. Like you're really not expected to lose, even if you take damage, because you're out in the open air now. Like the sunlight gives you your hearts back and
Right.
heals you, so you don't have to worry about that part of it. So it's easy in that sense, but it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be a cinematic battle, not a
Yeah.
not
And
a
rather
real
than being a
boss
cutscene, at least it's
battle.
interactive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it does feel really epic. Like it feels appropriately epic, or at least I think so. I know that I have read criticism online where they were like, "Well, that was it," and I'm like, "Well, that's because the hard boss battle was when you were under the castle, like and everything
Yeah.
else that comes after
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
it's a
That's the
playable
threshold, right?
cutscene.
That's that's what you're trying to get through. Like that's what really matters.
Yeah. But I know for a fact that Dream has thoughts about this last sequence, and I'm really curious what your thoughts are, because I know that you've been wanting to talk about this for a while.
I like the ending is perfectly fine. It's just more so since I've played Zelda from the beginning, or from the earlier games, right? Like there's always like the triangulation between Link, Zelda, and Ganon.
Yeah.
And in this game, it feels like it's more heavily reliant on Zelda and Ganon, because she's in the past, and then she sees Ganon, and then he's aware of her and all of that stuff. And in this one, it's like Link is kind of like not an it's not an afterthought, but it's just like he's there and he defeats Ganon. But like when Rauru, like stops Ganon, he says, "Oh, there's gonna be someone even stronger, and he will defeat you. His name is Link." And then, "Oh, Link, I'm look forward to meeting him." But they only really meet until like the very end, and I guess in that sense, like it felt like there could have been more. Because I did like that little like second ending where like Link meets Zelda, and then we're the fake Zelda, and then there's like the Phantom Ganons that pop out.
Yeah,
but
that
it's
was
not
cool.
really. But
Yeah.
it's not really Ganon, So in that sense, I'm like, well, like, it was good, but in that sense, like, I don't know, like, yeah, that's where I felt like, that's where I have my like what could have been a really good game. Well, still, it felt like just like towards the end, like it felt good.
I mean, like criticize away. Like you wanted more involvement between the three of them, as
Yeah,
opposed
and
to
I
like
guess
Zelda and Ganon. Is that what you're?
if
what
I
you're
have
saying?
to like make sense of it, it makes some sense because we don't have the Triforce involved in this game. Like, because I'm thinking, okay, if we're talking about Rauru's time, this is pre-Triforce time, right? If that's how, if you want to make some sort of timeline connection to it, like the Triforce still hasn't been created, so thus, like the stones are, in essence, like the Triforce type of power that we get for the characters here. So, I mean, that's just how I felt about it. Like, cause I don't know. Like, I guess just from always like playing these games, right? It's always like are these three characters, but in this sense, it's just like it's Link, it's Zelda and Ganon, and then featuring Link helping out to stop this nonsense.
I mean, I think Link plays his part though. Like
He
Zelda
does.
has the self-sacrifice, and she's like, Link's got to fix this problem because I have to do this portion.
Yeah.
The thing I totally get what you're saying, but I also like the fact that even in Breath of the Wild, they make a point to say like Link is powerful, but he's also like not that special. Like if you want to talk about the person who has all of the power, it's Zelda. Like Zelda is
Yeah.
the one who sealed Ganon away. Like Zelda's the one who sealed Calamity Ganon away. She's the one who creates the plan that enables Link to defeat Ganon in this game. Like I like that she has that much like influence and agency over the story, even if it does make Link look like, well, he was there and he was able to do it. But I like that it's because like Zelda is the one who's setting the things into motion. Like I appreciated that versus like seeing a Zelda where it's like, oh, help, Link, I've been captured by Ganon. Like I didn't want her to be like Princess Peach. Like she's a very powerful entity in her own, and I like the fact that she's like so powerful.
And they did a really good job of that, like, because like you mentioned, like a lot of these Zelda games, it's just like what you said, like, oh, like go save the princess or save the princess. But we never, but in this game they really did develop like Zelda's like character more, where I'm just like, damn, like, should I play Zelda in Smash now? Like I'm not. It didn't get to that point, obviously. It didn't get to that point, but I'm just like, damn, she's so cool. Like she did all this,
You're too high tier for Dream.
Yeah, and I'm,
too high tier
But-
for the FFAs. That final Smash is too broken. We can't allow it.
I guess like from where I come from, right? When we look at Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, right? When like there's little kid Link, but Ganondorf is too strong for him, and you just kind of see him like punk him around. But then Link evolves, gets stronger, and all that. Well, not evolves. He grows up, becomes stronger, and stuff like that. So we kind of see like
Adult Link.
the like character growth, literally, figuratively, and stuff like that. So like the battle seemed more like more high stakes. But here it's just like okay, go beat him up now. He's right there. So. I mean,
I do agree that I wish that I guess it's in character, but I do wish that Ganondorf had more development other than like, oh, I'm really I have a lot of hubris, and no matter who comes at me, I'm gonna beat him. Like,
yeah, that's another thing too about.
Like he's threatening, but I wish that there were a little bit more to that also.
Because usually he does have like ulterior motive, but in this one it just seems like he just wants to be like super strong. But
he read the Gerudo legend about being the only male born in 100 years and was like, okay, time to conquer Earth or Hyrule.
Yeah. They kind of simplified his story, I think, a little bit in this one. They just kind of made him evil, which I mean, I think he's the most menacing version of Ganon we've got.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's real spooky in this one for like compared to other ones for a long time, I think.
Because like he talks very eloquent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what like freaked me out. Like, oh my god, he's like he's ultra smart and he's ultra strong. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And we had a little bit of it. I mean, we saw a little bit of that in Ocarina of Time. We saw some of that also in Wind Waker. Like in Wind Waker, like he was really close to the king, and to some point, like, and he was really strong. And then he kind of got exiled a little bit. And then like the last fighting scene's like really epic. And like Dream said, like Zelda helps you, Link is fighting, but Link's still like the main hero. So I think that's a big difference too that we see. Like that. Zelda typically has a main part and the last boss only, and that's about it. Like in I think in Twilight Princess, there was like, I'm not sure if I'm accurate on this, but I feel like I remember hearing that a lot of people were saying that Zelda was the most useless in Twilight Princess, and I don't feel like that was true necessarily. I just felt like she was in a bad spot. I don't think they had to use her all the time. Using Midna, I think, was a really interesting choice because like it kind of dives into that the two worlds are parallels and there's like other princesses that could help with the same issue. And Zelda just couldn't do it. It was just a much darker time for her. But even then, she felt like a main character. Here, she feels like a really prominent character, which I like.
I mean, she's all anyone talks about. Like you go around to all the towns and they're like, oh my gosh, like Link, where's Zelda? Like why isn't she with you? Like it's so notable to everybody that she's missing. And I think that's what makes her have like this presence. Like, yeah, we got to go save her because we've seen her, but everyone else is like, where's Zelda? Where's Zelda?
Yeah. And now we see a good reason why we save her, right? Like, every single time we save Zelda, but we don't see the reason we save her till she fights. Here in this version, we actually see what her powers are, what she deals with, and like what her reasoning is, right? Like she cared so much about like everybody else, but she tried to do the right thing for herself, for the people that she's with, and for the people she's trying to help. Like she really goes through all these like emotions and like like this logic that she has to kind of like deal with. It's difficult for sure, and then it gives you like a good idea of what like she deals with in her everyday life and what it would be like to be a princess. So I like that part of the story, going back to like we were talking about that section.
Yeah, I think that they do a really good job of establishing the stakes for her like really well. And then if you go and find all the tablets in the sky and all the other stuff, like you get that and the geoglyph stories, I feel like you get a really good impression of all of that. Like it does add again to like that urgency, like, oh my gosh, we have to do something about this because everything's fucked if we don't. Like that part I appreciated. I feel like the other thing that I thought about for Zelda, especially in this game, like this Zelda, she's got like such a shit life. Like she spent 100 years like fighting off Ganon because she's the only one who has the magic strong enough to do it. And then however much time has passed between Breath of the Wild and this game, like, oh, there she goes again. Like she's got to be sent into the deep past and then sacrifice herself to like let Link be the only thing that's left between the world and apocalypse. Like she really goes through the ringer. Like this Zelda, I feel like really goes through the ringer, and like I do think it makes you feel for her. Like oh my gosh, like you do all of these things. She's so powerful, but and yet like so helpless. Like she still needs Link to help her do all of these things. But without her, he can't do anything either. Like I like that they have that teamwork, even though I think that they could have done a little bit like let Link talk or like let him have something to establish that relationship a little bit more. Even though I think that they get at a little bit of that with some of like the journals and stuff.
Yeah. Did you think
the journals are pretty cool?
That, like, what was your thought process in the end? Like, did you think that she would come back or stay a dragon?
I thought it would have been more narratively interesting for them to keep her as a dragon, but I also knew that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that they had been brave enough to be like, no, this is Zelda's ultimate fate. Like, she sacrificed herself for the world, right? Like, she sacrificed for herself for this purpose. She is now this eternal dragon that, you know, watches over her. I thought, I was like, that would be a really, really brave...
that would be big.
Like,
in terms of
narrative choice.
Yeah.
But I also knew, I was like, there's no way. There's just no way that would happen. And I was right. They didn't let that happen. But I do think that what they have you close the game with the same thing that they open the game with, and you dive toward Hyrule and you have to catch her before you land. And it's so dramatic.
That's kind of sweet.
And I really appreciate that they like, you know, like she has given everything and now Link will take her to like that final safety. The only thing that I wish that I know that the game, I would love to see a new game plus where you actually get to see the world and it's not shitified by Ganon. Like it has, like you get a glimpse of the world and there's no gloom and there's no monsters. Like I really would like a post game where you can explore that world. But you know, I booted up the game and I was like, no, they have to put you right before the final boss, so they're not going to let that happen. But yeah, to answer your question, Dream, I think it would have been the brave narrative choice to keep Zelda as a dragon, but I knew that they weren't going to let that happen, which I think is unfortunate. I do think that if this game had gone all that way, that would, like, this is already a really, really great game. That would have pushed it like way, way higher for me to make a like unexpected but very brave narrative decision.
Mm-hmm. Like a real consequence, right? Not just
yeah, like real consequence. Like we're told multiple times, like this is irreversible. This is sacrificing yourself. Like you will not have any self-awareness. Like this is eternal, right? Mm-hmm. And yet, you know, it's a miracle. She's better
because I was always curious about like the dragons in Breath of the Wild, and since we see them here as well, it's just like, well, we know more about them. And I guess to some extent we do. And like if you guys. I'm sure you guys have noticed it, but like if you see the cover or like the logo in itself, like where it says The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, in the background, like in the green, there is like two dragons, kind of like in that Ouroboros like symbol.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like representing eternal cycle of destruction. So I mean that's pretty cool. Like I mean, because you only see two, right? So you have the idea. Like now we know that's going to be, you know, Ganon and Zelda. Like they're always going to be repeating their cycle in terms of like Ganon will always try to like do something stupid to destroy.
Yeah. No, but I think that also brings up a good point that, you know, I appreciate that they hid something so key to the story that they were trying to tell, like in the logo. That's a very Final Fantasy thing to do also. And so I like that. Yeah. I like that attention to detail.
Yeah, I think it's really neat to do that. I'm just gonna say that I agree that it's cool to see like some symbolism in their logo, because I feel like they're always trying to like do a new art with. Actually, no, the opposite. They don't always try risky ideas with Link or Legend of Zelda series. It's always a Triforce, and this time it's like no, there's no Triforce in the logo. If I'm correct.
No, there's not.
Yeah, there isn't.
It's like the flowery. It's like the flowery sword, and then like that circle motif, like that.
Yeah, but there's no Triforce, so like it you know it says a lot about like what's going on.
Like they only show the Triforce in Breath of the Wild at the very end, right?
Yeah, when Zelda has she has all three pieces, and she's like, "See you later, Ganon." She blasts him away.
Mm-hmm. It gives them the final smash.
Sends him into the next dimension.
Yeah.
Oh, it ended up in the canyon. Look at that. That's cool.
But
What
I
is my
think for me,
Final
like that's very interesting because, like this type of play or like story has been successful for them just based on how people are like, oh my god, it's so crazy. But like I know Bugs had like a very like he was very critical of like because he likes the older Zelda games with like the dungeons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where there's like 8 dungeons or whatever, or like an actual dungeon, right? Instead of just like solving a puzzle. So I wonder like how they'll go forward, like because obviously this formula is working for them. Like, do they go back to something like more classical, or do they stick and push like a more open world narrative, or like what would you guys like?
I think we talked a little bit about this. I think, well, I for sure did. I was talking about it when I was streaming,
Oh, yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom. I feel like they could do either, they could do both really well, and they could make both fan bases really happy. Because I feel like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom did a really good job at establishing like the map of Hyrule and giving you like a real lifelike kind of map of Hyrule. And I think if they just added like a really strong narrative story where like it was just cohesive, like you were able to go to different locations and like your actions kind of dictated what happened, kind of like in The Witcher, or like in Skyrim, or like in Mass Effect, where like your movements actually like they have real consequences, real actions. NPCs might not like you, or minor things like that could happen, right? I'm sure like Nintendo will have their own kind of spin on it, but um I know one of the producers for Zelda said that like, oh, this formula is working for us, and we plan to continue using it. And it's good, but I don't think it's great. Like I feel this game, like Tears of the Kingdom, was really good, but if I get another version of Tears of the Kingdom again, I'm not too sure I'll be as happy. Like I feel like I'm not really sure like what I'll enjoy, because to some degree, Tears of the Kingdom felt a little bit repetitive. Because I played Breath of the Wild so much that this game just doesn't feel that new all the time. And I think Zelda's always kind of flourished when they felt unique, when they had unique kind of properties to them.
I think I feel similarly, because this was something that in my notes where when I wrote like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I think that this is probably between the two. I think that this is by far the better game. But when I think about it a little bit more, I think that there is something about how Breath of the Wild got the formula right with like everything in the world is new. Around every corner, there's something to explore. Around, like, oh, what's over that hill? I'm going to go over there. Why do those trees look that way? Like, I think it's very difficult to recapture that magic that Breath of the Wild had in 2017, when it came out. Like, this game, I think, does a really, really great job of like, okay, let's make Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo. And if we fleshed it out all the way, like, here's 3 entire maps. Like they take the map of Hyrule, turn it on its head. There's a second world for you to explore. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But to me, it's almost the difference between Super Mario Galaxy 1 and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Galaxy 2 is probably a better game because it expands on Galaxy 1 1,000 times, and you get so much more variety and so many more worlds and so many more things. But to me, Galaxy 1 is the more memorable game because it like gives you that formula. It establishes that formula. And I wonder, like 5 to 10 years from now, like, I do think that people will still say that Tears of the Kingdom is the better game, but I think it's only as good as it is because we had the experience of Breath of the Wild before it.
Definitely.
I think that we get more out of Tears of the Kingdom because we were able to have Breath of the Wild first, and that's what makes Tears of the Kingdom special. And I think for me, that's what makes the Breath of the Wild formula very, very unique and very special. Like, I had an excellent time with Tears of the Kingdom, but even so, I think that Breath of the Wild kind of edges it out in terms of like, I've never played anything like this before. And maybe that's because I haven't played a lot of open world games, but also like, I don't think that there was any duplicating that experience. and I say that as somebody who loved Tears of the Kingdom and again was like playing it for 8 to 10 hours at a time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that was something that I wanted to cover in our discussion of just like those impressions, but also like, would you want to go back to this world again, or would you want to explore a different world? Like, yeah, what do you want to see in Zelda? I would love to see a 2D, like how do they innovate on the 2D formula versus the 3D formula? Like that kind of stuff. I don't know if you had other thoughts about that, Dream. Or you know, your own original question about like what did you want to see?
Well, something like Ocarina of Time, you know, something like that, like where it's not as open in terms of where you could go, but I don't know. I guess because I love both formats, but you know, having to go like into a dungeon and like get keys and just kind of feel like the traditional Zelda type, you know, dungeons, like even from like the 2D ones, you know, like finding the little mini bosses in there, and then they say stuff to you, and you go ahead and you know you beat the bad guy and stuff like that. Like stuff like that. I mean, that is what, you know, is Zelda. This is still Zelda here, like with Tears of the Kingdom. But just like, I mean, the classic formula worked, and I mean, I would like to see more of it, even if it's like even like a 2D type game with like the Toon Link variation of it, like what is it, like Minish Cap? Like stuff like that I would like to see again. Doesn't have to be like a super high AAA type, you know, expensive game, but like something like that too could still work.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think that they have pushed this formula to the limit with this. I don't know, like, if you told me that there was going to be a third Breath of the Wild and they're still going to use like the Hyrule map and just change it around a little bit more, like I don't know if I'm into that or not. I think I would like to see what they're able to do with like a smaller but denser world. Like if the world is the size of Ocarina of Time, which people say is the size of the plateau, like the total game area in Ocarina of Time is supposed to be the size of the plateau. But then like maybe they give it an underground, but maybe they like really densely pack things in. Like I think that would be an interesting way for them to continue to experiment with like a world you can explore, but also like playing with scope, right?
Because they don't have to necessarily deconstruct everything they've built in order to make a new idea off of it.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
But like what's happened to, I think in these cases is that like in these two last iterations of Zelda, the player kind of gets to decide. They get to decide what Zelda is, like, you know, what Legend of, like what being Link is. Where in like in other games, they like the producer kind of dictated what Link was and what he was capable of.
Yeah.
Based on what they give you, like the items, the story, the places you could go and stuff like that. And that's also like there's a lot of good qualities to that, and I kind of miss it sometimes too. Where I'm just like, damn, I wish I had like a really just like a, even if it was a little bit more on rails, like I would have been happy though, you know, just to get like a true narrative, get a like a real in-depth story about Link and Zelda and Ganondorf. I feel like that could be the next step for the series, because just telling a story is like, it's really interesting, you know. A lot of us fell in love with video games for the story, not just for the mechanics of it. And I feel like this game just allows you to do so many things, but at the same time, like I forget that we're actually just playing, like that we're actually playing a Legend of Zelda game. It could be anything. It isn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it has to be Legend of Zelda.
Like, cause I'm curious more about like Rauru and like the pre-Hyrule, like you know, like that's what I wanted to get more out of this game.
Yeah.
Like maybe Rauru would be like, oh yeah, so this is me, I'm the king here, and I do this, and actually I got these powers from, but we don't.
And I blast people
I
I
guess-
don't like, and
Yeah, I guess I want to see, like, hopefully we get some DLC that talks about that, or like there'll be an updated book about, you know, like the Zelda like encyclopedia and stuff like that, because I mean, you know, everyone always wants to like put things together, like, oh, where does this game now fall in the timeline, or like, you know, like whatever, you know. But you know, it's always like I think that's kind of what I wanted from this game too, and maybe hopefully, I mean, there's still room for like, you know, DLC and stuff to be added. So
The DLC
That's
for
nice.
for Breath of the Wild was really really well done, and so I'm very hopeful that if they do DLC that like they do shrines that are a bit more that have like as much creativity built into them as the DLC shrines from Breath of the Wild, and
Mhm.
we get a little bit more in that way. Oh no, Ryu lost points again.
And
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. And it would be sick, like if like we're discussing about narrative and stories and stuff like that. Like, what if they did? What if they did just that, right? Like, what if Nintendo just starts adding a shit ton of story and not worrying too much about like extra content, right? Like, if they just add like a story within this timeline, that would be phenomenal. I would be like really happy
That's what
to
they
have
did
that
with
as
Breath of the
DLC.
Wild's DLC, so I'm into it. Like I hope that's the direction they go.
Same here. Yeah, the Breath of the Wild this DLC was amazing. It was really
It
fun,
was really
super
really good.
challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play Dream?
Yeah, the Master Quest or which
Yeah,
one exactly?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Champion's Ballad and the Trial of the Sword, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
Trial of the Sword was
Trial of the Sword was so hard.
jeez.
Dude, it was so good. That was so satisfying. We need that. It's all
Uh,
ogre for the mouth.
let's see. I think the only thing left to do is kind of wrap up with any final impressions of the game. I know that Agent still has to finish it, but like as you're feeling right now that you've been maybe invigorated or whatever from this discussion, you know, like what kind of feelings does this game leave you with so far? This will be our wrap up.
So I guess this game just leaves me wanting, I guess, the story department. You know, it really like I think that's something that like a lot of Legend of Zelda fans are really. It's funny because we say that, right, Solomon? And like you mentioned like you were honestly you're on point too. You're being critical that Legend of Zeldas don't have the most amazing stories, but still we feel like we're driven towards a goal, and maybe not necessarily the story that does that, but the mechanics, and also like Nintendo playing with, like you said, the scope, and also like you know just them telling us what we could do, what not to do, and I guess having a little bit more control over the character. I feel like freedom is pretty good sometimes, but after a while, just like anybody who has too much free time, you get really bored. So I just hope they add a little bit more, like a little bit more structure, and I hope that the DLC potentially adds a lot more story about like Raru and maybe perhaps like another dungeon or two for some reason. But
I mean, why
that's
not?
kind of my take. Yeah.
How about for you, Dream? What kind of feelings does this game leave you with? You can revisit it, or well, have you? Well, you still have another half of the game to see apparently because you're
Yeah.
53%.
Well,
So how
in terms of,
how
like-
do you? Yeah. What are your final impressions?
In terms of like, it felt really good to go back to feel like 2017 when I first played Breath of the Wild and just like have time disappear. Like I mean, maybe it's a good or a bad thing in terms of like playing 10 hours a day and being like fuck, because that's what I did back then. Like you know, like my weekends were just playing Breath of the Wild from
Oh
like
yeah, me too.
6 a.m. to all the way till like 4 a.m. or whatever, and being like, fuck it, like this is what I want to do. But in this case, you know, like just to play that and just kind of like just because I don't play like I'm trying to think like I've been just horrible with playing games, like short attention span, but with any Zelda game, it's just like I'm there, you know. So I'm happy. Like although I have my criticism, but I'm still happy to play it, and like there's still so much to do, and you know, whatever happens in the future, I'm sure there's gonna be even more amazing things to it. Like we're super hyped about like the things we could do in this game. I'm sure in the next game we'll be like blown away in just the ways that we can't even imagine yet, because they'll do it. They'll push the boundary in terms of what we could do. So
Yeah, I think like I was afraid that when we were going into this that it was going to sound like I had a lot of shit to talk about this game, and that's why I've had to keep like emphasizing I've played this game for over 150 160 hours.
Exactly.
Like it's one of the most enjoyable gaming experiences that I've had in kind of a long time, and I think that it boils down to like you can like when I play this game I can feel the love and attention and the heart that was put into it versus a lot of other games that I'd played recently-ish, like where it might feel like mechanically solid, but also like narratively empty or like spiritually empty. I got the same feeling when I started playing Sea of Stars on Tuesday, where I was like, I can tell like a lot of heart has gone into it, and you can feel it when you play it, and that's something that I've really appreciated playing this game.
Yeah.
And I'm just interested, like both of you are, to see, how do you push the formula? How do you change it up so that it's not, all within people's expectations? Because, for the games that I really love in Zelda and in other places, like there are issues, right? There's going to be issues with any game, but I always come out the other side of it, still having enjoyed it and still having, appreciated the fact that I played it. So I really appreciate that this exists, and I appreciate that there's still so much left to do. Like, it's a game that I can revisit as often as I want, and there's still going to be something left to do, and I really like that also.
Yeah, I feel people have just barely scratched the surface on what they could do here. We'll check back in a year, and the mechanics and the creatures that they're gonna build is gonna be like beyond what we could think about. So I don't know, just gotta save up all of those. What do you call them? The little minerals? I forget the name of them.
Zonite?
But the Zonite, yeah.
The machine parts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's going on, Lou? I'm not ignoring you. We're just wrapping up our talk here. So, any other last thoughts, and then we'll go into our outro. Anything else, guys?
I'm glad we could share on this game and then come back like a couple days after and be like, nah, this game is hella good.
It really is, though. Like, anytime I think of something that I don't like, I'm like, but I do love this game, and I did play it for 8 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Like it really gets you that way.
And that's you could tell, like you said, there's a lot of work put into it. Even if you do get bored, it's just mostly on the user, not really the game itself.
Yeah.
They added so much to it that you could, like, you always feel like there's something new. And then, like, having the goal to complete it 100%, it's like, it's very achievable, but it's very difficult. And it leaves us wanting, which is the right thing to do. And oftentimes, I think we focus too much on the wanting, and we don't focus on like what we actually had and what we've been through and what we've experienced with the game. Like me, like I'm honestly like I'm a really emotional person, so like when I see some trailers, sometimes like I get really teary-eyed because I get so excited. I just want to play.
Oh
it.
I do too. I do that too.
So I'm just like, dude, like I'm so happy. Like I'm so happy I'm living in this moment where like I'm able to play this game and this game's gonna come out. I'm so hyped and excited, and I have friends to talk about the game and experience different things and stuff like that. So this game is timeless for me. Like no matter how much I shit on it, it's never about the game itself. It's just more about me in the moment. But I'm really happy it exists. I'm definitely like love the game. I'm glad that Zelda is always trying new formulas, and I just really can't wait to see what they're gonna do next.
Any last thoughts, Stream?
Kind of like what Agent said, just excited to see what will happen. And like I came in with super high expectations for this game, and they were met. And I don't know why, I just wanted more and more and more and more as I played it. But it is what it is. And like I'm excited for like the DLC. They will come out with DLC.
It'll take a couple years, but it'll be.
Because how long did it take for?
I don't know.
It took. I know that it took a year or two because the day that Champions Ballad dropped was when I had. It was like right during a job transition for me, so it was a very memorable time. But it definitely took quite a bit because they released it in 2 waves. Like they had the Trial of the Sword first, and then like I think a few months later, that's when they dropped Champions Ballad.
Yeah,
so it did take them some time to do that. All right, well, I think this is it. That has been our all spoiler discussion of Tears of the Kingdom and a few other things in the Zelda universe. If you want to catch our good buddies Dream and Agent, we'll give them shout outs. Be sure to give them a follow and check out what they've got going on. Agent streams most Mondays and will and plays Mario Kart or other things.
I do play other things.
Dream will play Smash Brothers on most Wednesdays and other stuff as well.
Yeah.
You want to see the rest of our streaming friends, you can also hit up our this link tree, and that'll link you to other TGC people and other streamers that I follow. And if you want to get in on additional discussion, you can always join the Boom Brigade Hideout.
Yeah, and thanks,
For sure.
Solomon, for having us here talking about this.
Of course.
Very
Hopefully we
nice.
can do this more with other, after we play Super Mario Wonder, we can do a all spoiler
dude,
chat.
Mario Wonder. Oh my
Dude.
god.
I didn't see the direct.
That
I haven't
that
seen it. I
direct
haven't
is
seen the
wild.
direct either.
If you
I'll
haven't
see it-
watched
I'll
it
see it
yet,
right now.
watch it today. It's sick. It's really sick.
I'll watch it
okay.
right now.
Yeah, same here.
But before we get too off rails about that, want to finish wrapping up. So thank you to everyone for watching. Really appreciate having you here. We're going to be sending everybody over to Space Emperor, who's currently playing probably Armored Core. I'd be really surprised if he was playing something else. And but other than
Baldur's
that,
Gate?
please have a good night. If you want to review what it is that we talked about tonight, we will be saving this VOD, or you can check it out after we wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us all. Thank you to Dream and Agent for doing this with me. I know that this is kind of an experimental format for us, but I think that we had a lot of fun.
No, yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course. The last thing we got to do